mount, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, right girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
We will talk about Caitlin Clark in a second, Stugotz, because it seems to me a whole lot of people are enjoying watching the struggle, and because the seasons go into each other so quickly, it feels like Caitlin Clark didn't get to enjoy that very long before it became a thing that now has an uncommon amount of weight on it because she's joined a bad team and she's playing against good teams, and it's hard. But before we get to that, I just want to ask you something because I have just can't help but notice how much the media industry is shaking. Like just that things are battering the media industry and the sports media industry. And so every morning I get up, and when I'm checking X, I'm getting what looks like artificial intelligence. Like the first paragraph I see when I'm scanning through things, it looks like AI has just collected, hey, here's what sports fans were talking about last night. I don't think this was written by a human being. I think this is written by a computer. But I want to ask you about what it says. Fans slam ESPN's NHL playoff coverage. On May 21st, 2024, social media users expressed dissatisfaction with ESPN's NHL playoff coverage, criticizing issues such as audio-video synchronization problems, poor camera angles, and a perceived lack of focus on the game itself. Many users compared ESPN's coverage unfavorably to TNT's, which was praised for its superior quality. The criticism also extended to ESPN's broader approach to sports broadcasting, suggesting a focus on its own brand over the games. Users called for ESPN to improve its coverage or for the NHL to reconsider its broadcasting partnership with the network. Again, have no idea and don't have no idea if it was written by a human being and don't think that it was. But the thing that I wanted to ask you and Greg Cody today, as we're coming off of Stephen A. Smith and the New York Knicks dominating the Game 7 coverage in a way that was New York-centric and made people upset, Stugotz. Whether you care about it or not, it bothered people to watch a network get rid of anything that would even resemble the illusion of objectivity and just start rah-rahing for the Knicks. And we're entering a new broadcast time, Stugotz, where ESPN doesn't just get to be the dominant thing without competition. The competition is a bunch of individual brands, and ESPN has to evolve into the modern age of how to cover stuff. And they tend to go brand. And they tend to go and reward right now, they've always avoided this, personalities. And so it stops being about the game and it starts being about Stephen A. Smith talking on the entire network about whether he would score a basket against LeBron James if they were playing to 100 points and Stephen A. Smith was up 99-0. They covered across the network, and then people get mad because there are other places they could go to get something that feels more nutritious than that. So what do you two make of this? Because I know Greg Cody has a legitimate problem, Stugotz, with the amount of information that he's getting. He doesn't want more information. He wants glossy coverage of sports. What is it that you're objecting to in baseball? What is the statistic that you don't like or the tracking that you don't like now?
Yeah, it's like the StatCast bat index.
Like how hard the ball comes off the bat and stuff like that.
I just don't need to know that. If it's a line drive in the gap, I know it was hit pretty hard. I don't need to know exactly how many miles per hour it is.
Less is more.
Less is more.
Yes.
Here's a launch angle, line drive, fly ball, home run.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Ground ball.
Ground ball, bunt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are the angles.
Not that anybody bunts anymore. I think when you bunt, I think when you reach base on a bunt, you should get to take third.
Really?
Yeah, that's how rare
2
bunts
extra
are.
bases.
Yeah,
Huh?
Yeah.
I like that.
so.
What if you advance a runner to second? Do you skip them?
You know, I hadn't thought that far ahead. I gotta
think about
brainstorm.
it,
I gotta
yeah.
workshop that one.
Yeah.
So what my Tuesdays tend to be like is intellect, less is more. Information, less is more. Put it on the poll, Juju, at LeBatard Show. When it comes to information and intellect, is less more? Because what Greg Cody and Stugotz are advocating for is we get to dominate the media knowing nothing. We don't want to learn anything else. We have enough. We're at capacity. What we know is the most that there is to know, and we do not need any more information to do our jobs poorly.
Correct.
Why amass so much knowledge? You can't take it with you when you're gone.
That's correct. You got to be selective. You know, the human brain can only store so much.
That's
right.
And I challenge LeBatard to tell me what is the value in knowing how fast the ball has left the bat.
You know how hard people are hitting a baseball, and it takes some of the randomness out of whether you're getting a bloop. If you hit the ball well, the result doesn't necessarily matter. If you hit it 110 miles an hour and it just happens to catch the third baseman's glove, you're out, but it doesn't mean that you had a poor at bat.
What if we just measured it in Greg's measurements of pretty hard, not that hard, really hard? I think that might be helpful instead of numbers.
Yes.
What about placement? How about that?
Yeah.
Like, take a little off the swing speed and place it in a place that it's not going to get caught. How's that sound?
Okay, excellent. Yes, you should play baseball with a spatula because you're so good at it. You can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball into left field, just drop it in there because you're so good at sports.
The way Tony Gwynn did it, the way Wade Boggs
yes.
used to do it.
Mr.
That's all I'm
Padre,
saying.
yeah.
I can't do it, but they could.
Hitters used to be craftsmen.
Yeah,
They
that's
used to
right.
craft the ball.
yes.
You
Just swing as hard as you can now and hope to make contact.
Exactly.
Oh.
And the problem is LeBatard over here, he would rather hit a 100-mile-an-hour line out than a beautiful Texas leaguer that drops softly over the
Seeing
second
eye
baseman.
single.
Love it.
Yes.
Texas leaguer.
Thank you.
I mean, Dan, think about it, because you get rewarded.
You don't want to think about it.
Well, I want
That's
you to
what this
think about
whole-
it. I
Yeah,
don't
but
want to think
you
about
don't
it.
want
Right.
to think
No,
about
you
it.
just
But I
think
want
about
you to
it
think
now,
about it,
and then the
right.
thinking's done during the game.
but-
Imagine the pace of baseball, how quickly it would be if we weren't clicking our calculators the whole time trying to figure everything out.
Right.
Your team has been mismanaged for years by the others who are doing all of this stuff better than
Hottest team in baseball
your
right now.
team. Well, I want to ask you something because I brought you a couple of gifts here that I want to ask.
Oh,
So
you about.
nice.
Yes.
Daring
Not
gifts.
even my birthday.
You are a collector. You are
wrapped it, too.
You are a hoarder, and you are somebody who I was wondering whether you would want some of the things that I have here.
I'm a curator of
So,
collections.
what do you imagine that this is worth right here? I've got a Florida Marlins inaugural season, and I was there for the last homestand, Marlins versus the Mets, and it's an engraved cent. Not a smell.
Cent?
Not a smell. It's a penny.
Oh, like you used to put in like
Oh,
those
a pen.
machines?
Coin.
I love those machines.
You mean coin?
Yeah.
Yes, a coin.
Not like Bitcoin, though.
a
That's
co-
an actual coin.
but a
You can
coin that
touch
looks like a penny.
A bitty coin. It's tiny.
Flattened. Not even a cent.
Wow, look at that
Can't
thing.
use it.
Yeah.
Do you think this is? Do you even want this? Would you want this, or would you not
Sure.
want this?
No,
It's-
that looks nice. I wonder if it's a crime, though. I don't think you can deface money.
How
Ooh, look at
about?
this.
I don't think it's
Wow.
an actual penny, and I don't think it's a
Wow.
crime.
The
either.
sticker is still on
Look at
that thing. I
oh
mean,
my God! Did you
wow.
highlight that?
I did not highlight anything. It is.
Oh,
It is a sweat stain, a yellow sweat stain from the armpit, or just the coloring of the newspaper.
It's a large shirt.
It's a newspaper column that I wrote.
Yeah.
Do you want this?
Did you make that?
I didn't make the
Well,
T-shirt.
it's you.
No.
You did?
It's a T-shirt of you. Your face is on
No.
it.
Yeah,
Someone made them?
For you?
If we
Yeah,
have no
Marlins
takers, I
giveaway.
will take.
Okay, I'll
What
take
That's
it.
awesome.
Hold on a second.
What a coincidence. that
Juju,
Dan
it's all
would,
yours.
Wait a minute.
It's all, no, I
Hold
took it
on.
back.
Wait
No, you
a
were too
tick.
slow. Juju, it's all
Hey,
yours.
You can't take
Can you
away
sign
gifts.
it?
Who wants the penny?
No gives his
Does
backseat.
I'll
anyone
take the
want
penny. I'll
Excuse
take it.
me.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cody.
Brad
Hey,
Penny.
Rose wants the penny.
All right. Where's the shirt with my column on it?
Brad Penny.
Oh,
This
I
is-
like it.
This is what he.
Brad Penny. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. I
Penny
love-
Hardaway.
6 seconds
like
later,
that.
That's
he
right.
registers.
Less is more, Chris. Less is more. The bad joke, he catches it 6 minutes later, and he's like, Brad Penny, oh, it's too
Oh,
bad
good
I
one."
didn't get to that.
Because he was a pitcher for the Marlins, and it was an actual penny.
Get it?
Yeah.
Getting back to what it
Went
is
over
that
his
I
head.
was saying at the origin of the conversation,
Yes.
I want to ask you guys what you want from your coverage? Like, I'm legitimately asking this, understanding that there is no consensus. I will remind people that Stain and his army made a lot of money off of criticizing ESPN before it was fashionable. Okay, now it's very easy to criticize ESPN. They've been dominant for a really long time, and they're not going to give up that dominance. There have been no real challengers, but now the entire internet is working against the established entity. And my question to you guys is, because it looks like you're about to lose the greatest sports studio show there has ever been. I don't know how and when that's going to get saved in a way that makes it so that we get to keep consuming what Barkley and Shaq and Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith are doing, which is the new form of what's popular. We'll give you 5 or 6 hours with funny people you like to hang out with. The comedians have stolen the radio space, Stugotz. They just do radio shows with each other, and now it's Louis C.K. and Andrew Schultz, and they fill arenas because it's getting that aggressive in the spaces where people compete for your attention.
Right.
And ESPN has had a lead here for a long time, and people are criticizing from every angle now. And I'm asking you guys, what do you want from ESPN? Because they're moving out of journalism. That's been the case for a while. And you saw nothing on Sunday that indicated anything that resembled objectivity. That ABC, Disney, and ESPN conspired to give you something New York-centric that was brazen for ratings. I don't blame them, but what do you want?
I want the games. What happens before the games, what happens after the games. I know people care about that stuff, Dan. I don't. I want the games. ESPN has the games. Therefore, I go to ESPN to watch the games. If Stephen A. Smith wants to make it about Stephen A. Smith before the game, God bless him. If he wants to do it after the game, God bless him. If everyone wants to be a fan and stop being a journalist, great. I arrived there 10 years ago. Welcome to the party, okay? That's what I want. I want the games, and they give me the games.
Okay, but around all the games, there are things that are being complained about that represent our industry. The games are easy, Stugotz.
Right.
Anybody who's got the games gets numbers. That part is easy, and that part you want. But all around it, there are people talking and covering those games. And I will ask you again, you don't want any information, entertainment, nothing. You just want games, games, games. You've checked out on all of the talking around sports.
I mean, I love a good pregame show. I love what, Ernie and Shaq and Charles and Kenny do on TNT. I love College Game Day. I love that stuff because it's entertaining. So go ahead, entertain me. Like, I might watch your pregame show. I might not. Sometimes it's on. Sometimes it's not.
The definition for that is not the same for everybody. Entertainment in sports, it's not the same, and it's changing.
I understand that, but the only thing I'm taking seriously are the actual games. I'm not taking anything seriously on the front end or the back end.
Fandom bleeding into these broadcasts doesn't bother me one bit, but I don't come from journalism. Like, I could see it bothering my dad and Dan more than it bothers me. For me, Stephen A. going crazy with Spike Lee is just more entertaining, so I'm cool with it.
I'm not the one who's complaining about this. I'm waking up to the complaints. They're not mine. They might be artificially generated, but somebody's complaining about coverage.
Why do you think the complaints are bad, though? I mean, I want to complain about this coverage. I want to complain that the announcers and broadcasters hate my team. I want to complain about everything involving the media. And Twitter's just complaints. Like, that's all you're going to find there about anything. Like,
so what do you want?
I want to complain. That's what I want.
And in your coverage, what do you want?
I just want to watch the game, and then I want to hate the broadcasters because that's part of the fun. That's sports. You see them saying something that you disagree with, and you're like, this person is a such and such, and I don't want to hear them say this about that.
I need to know who's hurt, who is the ankle lingering, is someone probable,
gambling info.
Out, it's Zagak. I don't give a damn. You can cheer for the Knicks all you want to. Right. Salute. Who's hurt though? Is Miles McBride starting? Because if so, 13.5 seems delicious.
Don't get me started on the WNBA fantasy and how we don't get proper injury reports on any of those players ever.
Talk about it.
It's insane.
How's that league going?
Oh, I'm dominating.
No, I'm not in that league, by the way. I'm in the Underdogs and Friends League. Salute to the Underdogs, Jordan Brenner and Peter Keating.
We seem to have somehow created 2 WNBA fantasy leagues because the first one was such a disaster, and now there's a faction. Is that right, Juju?
Yeah, it was the real one the entire time. Rose started her own thing out there in the lobby, and we was like, we're gonna have dibs. And Dan has that look in his eyes. So let's get off of this topic
To tie
now.
things back.
I mean, it's a
Juju.
It's a nightmare for me. Okay, the metastasis.
Metastacism.
Tough one.
I got you.
Thank you. I have cared so little about Greg Cody's fantasy league for 15 years, and it's all he wants to talk about. And now all of your self-involvements are such that you guys can't shut up about your fantasy leagues. Like Billy, all Billy cares about, it's the only thing I see him care about here at work is the fantasy league with Rose that he's doing. And while you guys are endlessly entertained by your narcissism, I don't think that the audience wants that.
That was a natural progression to the conversation. You said, what do you want to talk about? We want injury reports. Why do we want injury reports? Because of fantasy. And also because of gambling.
And also, too, it is right, brother. Like, if the NFL has a toe injury, they got that information up within seconds. Yeah. These sisters are getting ready in the layup line, and they still got an O by their name. That's egregious. Yeah. Get it together, bro. Show these women the same respect as y'all show the second string tight end for the damn Bills.
I think most people, Dan, want to be entertained and they want to be informed on the things that matter to them. And so, like, College Game Day does a great job where you're getting your information, and then they go to Pete Thamel, and he's telling you who's playing, who's not playing. And so I think that's what people, for the most part, I think that's what people want. Entertain me, give me the information from credible people, information that I care about.
Well, but let's talk about what it is that Juju's saying there. Does it not stand to reason that if the coverage of women's sports is bad in every way because men are trying to figure out how to cover something they haven't been paying attention to for a long time, and these industries are dominated by male executives, if all of that is so, doesn't it stand to reason that there would be some gambling advantages in having more information about what the game results might, that you'd have more room to maneuver in a space where people are more ignorant because you'd have the ability to be more informed than others with inside information, because the information that's out there isn't covered. It isn't covered by enough people, enough resources so that it's as comprehensive as the way that your Sundays are.
Right, and to your point, the women's coverage, the broadcast team actually is phenomenal. They got the Shanae and they got Drea. They got a great team as far as no bias, no necessary. They play for teams. Her sister played for the Storm. She ain't biased, and it's a great a product. You feel me? But they need to take that energy and still keep it with the fantasy sports, because I'm in leagues with nothing but women. You feel me? And they like, whoa, I thought she was out tonight. That's misleading. I see all my brothers having fun. Let's let these sisters have some fun too.
I really like the pre and post game show on ESPN too for the WNBA, because I feel like the team has a lot of chemistry, and they're doing like a great combination of information, breaking down plays, breaking down highlights, but also having fun and like joking around with one another. And I think that is something that I've heard a lot of complaints about ESPN's NBA coverage lacking, is just that there's not a lot of chemistry on the desk, and they just can't seem to get the formula right in terms of entertainment.
They've been doing it for a long time, and I've told you
breakdowns.
before, that Adam Silver has never been happy with what counter programs on ESPN as the studio show. He liked what The Jump was doing, but he didn't like the combinations because there's not enough room to move. The TNT guys have so much space.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they enjoy each other's company, which is so rare in television, where it's not a chuckle fest. It's Shaq getting legitimately mad because Barkley's making fun of how Hakeem cooked him 25 years ago. And with the producers, they're then playing highlights of Hakeem shaking Shaq, and he's getting pissed off.
Dream Shake, fine.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a fine, $2.
Wow, $12.
No.
$2
no,
at least.
I don't.
I mean,
How did
team shaking? I mean,
Yeah, that's a bad
How
phrase.
You
did
got it wrong. Yeah.
I did get it wrong, but how did it go from $2 to $12?
Inflation, Dano. It's a
That's
new
right.
country since 2015 when y'all started these
right.
fines.
Price of eggs go
Starbucks-
up, so do fines.
Exactly. A coffee is $12, so we
Thank
need that
you.
12-chin.
yeah.
I saw that both Target and McDonald's are now going to stop their price gouging because Americans have had enough. So Target has 5,000 items that are just normal goods that they're going to knock down the price on just because people are totally fed up with how expensive things have gotten.
The crazy thing is, Target was like the affordable option. So if Target's doing this is great news.
Not in my hood. Target is up there with Neiman and Marcus.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Target, huh?
Salute to Kroger. I salute all my Kroger individuals out there. I see y'all, and I love y'all.
Juju, down here, Publix is like the Whole Foods of the rest of the country. It is so
Publix.
expensive.
If Target is lowering their prices, it's not because of altruism. They're doing it because of competition. Nowadays, you can go online and buy a new pair of shoes for $2.99. They won't be good shoes, but
you can have them.
The prices are super cheap now.
Right.
It's super cheap.
But if you're Target and you're doing it, you have to say because you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart, right?
Yeah, you have to.
I think you're getting confused by Temu ads.
Chris, why are you
That's
shaking
one
your
of
head
the
at your
examples.
father?
I just don't know what he's talking about with shoes being $2 nowadays. Like shoes have never been more expensive in my
Okay,
life.
I bought a fedora for like $2.99.
Really?
I bought a pair of rubber clown ears
For a
for like
costume?
$2.
So you're just buying the first thing Amazon throws you when you're looking for something. Your Amazon shopping is just you're doing it the way the college kids are doing it that are on ramen noodles. You're the first thing that pops up, you're buying it no matter how cheap it is.
Here's the truth of the matter. Target and other retailers, anything you can buy at Target, I can buy cheaper through Amazon.
And
I'm
crappier.
not saying it'll be better.
No, it won't be better, but you don't care about quality.
Oh, I care about quality.
You are buying things off the internet that are shoes for $2 that you wear for 40 years.
Well, if the
good
shoe
value.
fits,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course. What's wrong with that? Price gouging. I mean, if I can get it cheap, I will.
But do you care about quality? Because I don't believe that if I present to you, you can either have it cheap or you can either have it be good. You can't have both. You're going to constantly choose cheap.
Okay, I'm not a label hound. I don't need a Louis Vuitton purse. Okay.
What kind of purse do you need, big bro?
That's a great question.
You know what?
Juju.
Just a run of the mill. What's a no-name purse?
Well, it doesn't have a name, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Give me a purse without a name on it. I don't need initials. I want an anonymous purse.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And it comes cheap. And when it wears out, if there's holes in the soles of my shoes, I buy another pair of shoes for $2.
Greg, I don't want your opinion on this because you're legitimately one of the cheapest people I have ever met.
Well, you always say that, but you don't mean it.
Yeah, you don't mean it.
No.
You don't mean
Chris,
that.
you are his son. You have been his son for a long time. How often are you
His
embarrassed?
whole life, some say.
He tried to break a $5 bill the other day to tip a valet.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be ashamed of that?
Them's the breaks.
Okay, how much time is
There we
that
go.
valet spending getting my car?
Probably
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. So if I give him $3, what is that per hour rate? Okay.
You feel good about this argument?
12 times 3, I'm giving him $36 an hour. That's not bad.
To spend 10 minutes in your car.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And who knows what he's pilfering
Oh,
from the glove box.
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. It's just a joke. I trust valets. I do.
You don't.
You never want a valet.
I don't like to valet my
He
car.
tries
I
to
really
avoid
don't.
valet.
Yeah.
But you trust him.
Was it Ferris Bueller's Day Off? You feel like that's going to happen with your car?
Well, we always take my wife's car because she's terrified to get in my car. So I don't mind that on behalf of her car. I just, I like a parking spot. When I pull up to a golf club, I like to self-park, carry my bag. I don't like to valet. I don't know about the valet industry, but they got the world by the balls. You can't go anywhere now and not valet.
He's right.
I'm surprised I don't have to valet park when I go to Publix. Just let me self-park.
We're getting there with Publix.
Self-parking is dying.
You love to back into a spot, don't you?
No.
Really?
I'm anti-backing
I figured
in.
you would like to get right out of there.
No, I give a long stare to a driver who holds me up in a parking lot by backing in. The only people who should be backing into a parking spot are people fixing to rob a bank, and they need a quick getaway.
Right.
That I see. Plus, it obscures the license plate. So, the eyewitness makes it tougher.
But imagine if that was the rule. You'd know exactly who the
Juju,
bank
put them
robbers
all
were. Then
on
they'd
the
park
poll,
forward.
please. Does the valet industry have us all by the balls? Do you trust valets? And is the key to a good bank robbery backing into your spot? Stugotz, I want to ask you about a person in sports who's going to engender very little sympathy, very little compassion, the last few years of this person's public life have seemed to be a real disintegration. Antonio Brown went from the best receiver in football to somebody who took a hit in a game that years from now, when we go through science, we're going to be able to like pinpoint, oh, that's what exacerbated CTE.
Right.
His public meltdown has been something that seems like it could be tied to football fairly easily and fairly overtly, to not excuse any of what it is that he's done. But we're going to know more about it in years. And today he declared for bankruptcy, or yesterday he declared for bankruptcy, and it actually hurt me on his behalf because of what life's going to be now when you've grown used to having all of the money and power in the world, and now you enter a phase of your life where you're not going to be able to recoup that anywhere, and your reputation is in tatters, and you don't seem mentally stable in any way. And I don't think there's going to be very much compassion for Antonio Brown, but having known that his story began in Miami, homeless, and this is not a place to not have a home. His journey to the top of sports was fairly amazing to watch because it didn't come through the big schools and it didn't come with a lot of support. So he got to adulthood and fame and money at a time he couldn't handle it. And I don't want to make him a victim here, because the stuff that he's done is really bad. Like, it's not just publicly embarrassing, it's stuff that has hurt people. And yet I found myself feeling bad for him when I saw the declaration of bankruptcy, because I'm like, he's not going to be able to get his finances in order the rest of his life in a way that allow him to fix the fact that all of it's been thrown away.
He made $88 million during his career, and he's filing for bankruptcy. I do feel bad for Antonio Brown, because it's the unknown that you feel bad about. It's what did football do to Antonio Brown? How did it impact his life, his career, all the crazy things he's done over the last few years? You do wonder, I'm not excusing it, but you're left to wonder how football impacts that.
It's a long list of things. Perhaps you could get us that list of things, because I don't want to skate past what has been some very bad behavior that's going to make most of the people listening to this, I don't think it's the minority, I think it's going to be most of them, don't care, threw it all away, moron, another guy who had all of the things I dream about having and couldn't figure out a way to handle it. I'm guessing that he engenders very little in the way of compassion.
If I had the opportunity to play in the NFL, I do this all the time. I'm guilty of it as well, but this is what fans do. And I made $88 million. I would never squander that opportunity. But you don't know, because you don't know what football does to your body and your brain.
Yeah, I feel bad for Antonio Brown as well. But when you mentioned $88 million in career earnings, that is the reason why he'll get no sympathy from most people. I worry about his mental health. I worry about what he might be driven to do next. But I also think in this day and age that the fact that he's controversial, the fact that he's had all of these episodes, there's a lot of podcasts out there who are going to say, Antonio,
I don't think he's
you want to come
employable,
on?
Greg. Do you want to come on is one thing. Pay you to come on? Make it profitable? No. Exploit you? Sure. He doesn't have a career in front of him. He does not have a media career being controversial. He's tried the music career. He's been on, he's done some work with It Is What It Is, right? Like that Cameron and Mace have had him on fairly regularly.
He could have had a media career. He decided not to. Probably.
That day's over, though.
That day's over
whatever
for him,
that,
I think, yes.
And so I ask the audience this question, because there are so many people in his rearview mirror who are actual victims. So I understand why anything that sounds like we're espousing victimhood for him might land wrong, because people don't want to see the humanity in that sport when it gets damaged that way and have to reconcile with what it is that we're doing on Sundays, where Vontaze Burfict took pride in doing that.
Yeah.
That's something at the time. Vontez Burfict.
In his defense, a lot of guys do, Dan. Like,
well, but yes,
Right.
agreed. But more than most, Burfict was saying, I hate the Steelers, and that's what I was trying to do. I was not following the rules, don't care about your safety. Vontez Burfict has publicly said, that is something I was trying to administer. It's something I'm proud to have administered. And within the context of that environment, I ask you, what does football do to these people?
I think why it's hard to feel for my dog is because he's on top of the heinous crimes he was accused of and the child support and all the stuff that he's been locked up for, throwing rocks and all the stuff. His regular internet personality right now is still attacking everybody, so-and-so bleep of the day. You know what I mean? It's like he's still antagonizing Tom Brady, posting pictures of Giselle. At a certain point, you wear out your welcome with us. Like you can do your thing, but when it comes to sympathy, I'm pretty sure ain't nobody got no sympathy for me if I do all that.
All right, well,
it's hard to have it.
Let me ask you guys this question then. Just out of curiosity, since DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love brought it to everybody, they brought it to a predominantly male audience and brought a conversation that men don't talk about to a male audience. When we talk about Ray Rice or Diddy and we say, well, what do you think domestic abuse looked like? You've been reading about it for years. What do you think mental illness looks like? Like, what are the things I have to put in front of you for you to say, oh, Antonio Brown, there's a lot of stuff there. I don't want to say that everyone who is mentally ill is this kind of mentally ill, but what do I have to put in front of you for you guys? Like, I'll give you my personal example. I didn't know when I was in it. It was 20 years ago. Ricky Williams retires. He's living in a tent in Australia. I didn't know. I didn't understand that what was happening there was, okay, that must be something happened there that I don't have knowledge and information about, even though I'm really close to it. I had it happen with my brother, Stugotz.
Right.
My brother.
Yeah.
Toward the end of his life, my brother, who I love and I know, we were dealing with spiraling stuff that I didn't recognize, and it's in my brother's body. And so I'm ill-equipped. I'm like, well, what is this? I love this person. I don't recognize this person. What is this? Where does the sickness start and the asshole begins? Like, because my brother had some arrogant streak. So, and I don't recognize it. So I ask you guys innocently, don't make it Antonio Brown. Give me an example from now in sports. What do you think it looks like when people are talking about the despair at the bottom of the well? Because if I had to nominate somebody from sports right now on exhibiting the behavior that seems out of control and extreme and not just athlete stereotype immaturity or athlete stereotype recklessness, that there might be something else in play, I just ask you again and again, what do you think it looks like?
I think it looks like Antonio Brown. I don't think you go from $88 million to bankruptcy unless your life is full of terrible decision-making. And I don't know whether it's CTE or not. You don't associate CTE typically with the wide receiver position, but it well could be. But some sort of a mental illness has to be involved here. It just has
Jason
to be.
Kelsey says he can virtually guarantee us he has CTE. He's going into his next phase of his career saying he can virtually guarantee that he himself has CTE.
But I think the NFL, the collisions, they impact everyone differently. So you're right about Jason Kelsey. He has said that. But Billy and I spend, 20, 30 minutes every week with Mike Golick on God Bless Football, and he said that football did not impact his health, mental or physical. Yes, he has a limp. Yes, there are things, but Mike Golick looks great and feels great. And so I think everyone's kind of different in terms of how football impacts them.
I think it comes to genetics. Like last summer, we looked at a brother from the Charlotte Hornets, Kai Jones. His streak of activity seemed as though something was wrong, but then he got the proper help, and he accredits the NBA PA for giving him the help he needs. So I think when it comes to mental health, it's the genetics, and it's so many different chemicals that go to who you are and your biology that it's kind of tough to detect in some people.
I should say off the top end here, because I really don't want to turn this into Antonio Brown as victim. The domestic assault allegations and the sexual assault allegations against him are serious ones. I'm talking about now he goes bankrupt, and the life. You have seen whatever it was that was gained financially from football. The report, the news is that has now been squandered. And I'm saying once all of that arrives, his life as he knew it is now over, and the consequences that are coming for all of those actions are about to bury him. He will never get to live the life that he used to live. That has been squandered.
Do we know that, though? Because, like, Mike Tyson declared bankruptcy.
That's
50
what I'm about to say.
Cent
50
declared
Cent. That's what I'm
bankruptcy.
saying.
Burt Reynolds declared bankruptcy. Like, Donald Trump declared bankruptcy. There's plenty of celebrities who have declared bankruptcy
Right,
and
just to get the
seemingly
folks off their
haven't
ass.
changed their lifestyle in any way whatsoever.
Right, it's a new season of power coming up. You would never walk up to 50 Cent right now and say you can't do what you used to do. You wouldn't call that man broke. 50 claimed bankruptcy like years and years ago. So I feel like this may be just something that is necessary for whatever financial he's trying to stay out of.
I agree that I don't think bankruptcy ends one's hope and future. And I'm sort of surprised to hear you say that in the content age that Antonio Brown cannot be redeemed.
He's
he
not
cannot be
employable.
rehabilitated.
He's not employed. The crimes are too serious. The allegations are too serious.
It seems that way to I understand, but you say he tried rap. No. He didn't try rap. He started a phenomenon that went around the world. Put that on is being said by random people now. It's like it seems bleak to the I don't no disrespect to your generation, but to us this seems regular, bro. He probably owe somebody some money. I ain't got it. I'm bankrupt and still living the same life he been living. I don't see what you see.
You guys think he's going to be fine financially by just hiding behind
They think he is fine.
The legal veneer. You guys evidently didn't see MTV Cribs and don't know what local real estate costs are on taxes. He will not be able to keep living the same lifestyle with the bubble of protection that bankruptcy affords him.
It's not that. It's not a death sentence, which is what you're kind of making it out to be.
No, it's not a death sentence. He's not going to die.
Well, he will.
But the
identity
he used to have, that's gone, and it's gone forever.
He killed that himself, though.
Yep. Juju, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. When you say you beg to differ, are you eager to differ?
I'm not.
I believe you are. I believe you cloak it. I believe it's your mask. It's your disguise. I believe your beg to differ is your knight's armor to pretend and appear polite when you live to differ.
He's actually begging to differ.
I don't like that assessment. It's hard for me to wear a mask, Dan. I wear glasses already.
You wear your glasses over your mask, and your mask conceals an evil anarchy that you embrace wholeheartedly. You like nothing more than to differ, I would say.
That's one person's take, I suppose. Not mine. Not the way I see it. I'm the hero of my narrative.
What do you guys think of Bryce Harper getting involved with his high school son's prom? Because we have some video of...
I don't think he has a high school
Bryce
son.
Harper has a son in high school.
That's
Is
hard to
this a
believe.
fact?
We're going to have to look this up.
I think it was just a fan he was doing
it wasn't?
with.
I thought it was his son. And why would you say, do you think, how old is Bryce Harper now? He's 30?
He got to be 22.
Okay.
He's
12?
31.
12
in
years
high
old,
school,
father?
17. He had a kid when he was 14.
I mean, he was dropping bombs at 14, so.
He was. I did think it was his son. Okay, so that makes it much different. I did think it was his son. It was just somebody he was doing a favor for, who needed to make sure that he got a yes. So he brought in Bryce Harper.
His son would also have to be like 17 or 18 because only juniors and seniors go to prom. So that
I'm
was.
seeing a headline. He helps a New Jersey high school student with prom proposal.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. I thought
Not
it was
his
his
kid,
son.
just a
right?
kid,
Yeah, well,
right,
it's
yeah.
totally different.
It's kind of weird.
It's a totally different.
It's honestly better. If it's your kid, it's too
I
like
know.
helicopter parenting.
Agreed. But
Bryce
that's-
Harper on his spare time plays Cupid for high schoolers? Like, oh,
That
I don't know
is
about
Juju
that.
Smith-Schuster doing this a couple years ago too. With they had the bomb suits, him and that old boy. Yeah, salute.
That is why I recoiled, because my information was bad in thinking, not doing the math on how he wouldn't be old enough to have a high school age child. Someone who is those Stugotz is LeBron James, and I thought some betting odds I saw were interesting in that the most money that's being put on someone being drafted #1 overall is being put on Bronny James, where Las Vegas tells you the money is. And the reason for that is because the odds are 200 to 1 that he gets drafted first. But the reason you would draft him first is now overt. It's because you think LeBron James is better than whoever the number 1 pick in the draft is. And I don't think you'd be wrong about that when you've got Ryan Russillo and others saying, would you trade the number 1 pick for Duncan Robinson this year? Because it's such a weak class.
Let me be clear. LeBron James is going to be better for the next 2 or 3 years than anyone you could draft in the first round. So if you were to trade up to get Bronny with the number 1 overall pick, it seems ridiculous. Also a very cool thing for a father to do because he still has the leverage to do it. But if you have the opportunity to do it and draft Bronny and therefore get LeBron James, that would be a smart move by that team, I think.
This would be the draft to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no Wembanyama in this draft.
Correct. Yes.
I mean, this is like it's about as bad as a draft gets.
I think the number 1 projected guy is from France. It's just funny that you said that specifically. There's no Wembanyama.
Just because you're
Right.
French don't make you Wemby, brother. You feel
That's
me?
right.
But and if you the Hawks right now, brother, liquidly, this makes sense. Look at all the jerseys you can sell. Look, you can talk to LeBron anytime you want to. Who you gonna take? Klingon?
It has to be a team that LeBron thinks is close to winning a championship. He's not just going to Atlanta. And Atlanta should know that, and they should trade that pick for as many picks as they can get.
All right, before we do all of this, you mentioned Wembanyama. Did you guys see what he spent his first paycheck on? Because it was fairly funny, and it reminds you that even though these appear to be armored adults in muscles, they are children. A Lego Millennium Falcon.
Really?
Those are expensive. Yeah.
They are expensive.
Wow.
Lego.
I've always wondered, like, what do you do with it once you're done?
You did this right here.
Yeah, that's what you do. You're right.
That is what you do. That is exactly what
I
you
guess
do.
he's
Those
rich
exact
enough.
sounds,
He has
yes.
his own room for it. Like I want like the Lord of the Rings ones, but then I'm like, well, what do I
a lot of
do with
space.
It,
It eats
Like,
a lot of space.
It's gonna take up my whole apartment.
It's only $850.
Huh.
I was thinking,
That's
I don't
a
know
lot
why.
for Legos.
Only?
That's
I'm
a
just
lot
saying,
for
I-
Legos.
Legos are surprisingly expensive.
For Wemby,
way,
though?
the
I
way you
mean-
pinned it as like his first purchase, I was thinking this was going to be like tens of thousands
No, it wasn't
of
a
dollars.
real Millennium
Chris,
Falcon.
let me borrow like
Yeah.
$50 from you.
Wait, I really wish we had done prices right with this. What did you think it was going to cost?
I'm thinking it's like a life-size Millennium Falcon thing.
No, what?
You think
The,
it costs as much
thinking
as like a
how?
car?
Like from the movie?
You guys don't. You
Like
know, I could
an actual
buy
spaceship?
I could find probably a dozen things for thousands of dollars that are Star Wars related right now. Like I think
Yes.
under $1,000 is cheap actually for this.
It is. I thought you meant a bird.
Hold
Greg,
on.
you
when
buy
you said
$2
Millennium
shoes.
I know, but it's true. But $850 for a
bird,
for
yeah.
a toy. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, you don't want to spend that much.
So you
money.
thought he was buying a bird. You thought he was buying an actual spaceship made out of Legos.
I thought it was like a life-size one that he could like walk in.
let me start again.
I like it here.
That's fine. I'm going to start again so you could spend more time here. I know you beg to differ. We've established that. I know where you like it, Billy. I'm very well aware. It's where I don't like it.
Why? Try it out.
Opposites attract.
The Lego Millennium Falcon that he bought, he was asked the cliche question of, did you make any big purchases with your first check? And instead of saying a home or a car, he said he bought the Lego Millennium Falcon. I do believe that we should put these things on the poll at LeBatard Show. Are Legos surprisingly expensive? And once you've put together the Lego Millennium Falcon, is that now furniture in your house? Is it a furniture decoration in your house? Because that is something that's going to take up some space. Stugotz, I wanted to ask you this question about the Miami Heat based on something we didn't cover yesterday regarding the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Right.
The Minnesota Timberwolves, it can be argued successfully, as we sit here today, are coming off the biggest victory they've had in their franchise's history. The single most important thing to have ever happened to the Timberwolves, even though they made a Western Conference final with Kevin Garnett. We can make the argument because you beat the three-time MVP, you won on the road, it's Game 7. It's the most memorable thing a Timberwolves team has done
You beat the champs.
to get to this round.
Right.
You people complaining about where the Miami Heat have been the last 5 years, when they've gotten to a place that is further again and again than a franchise that has been around a quarter of a century, you should take some inventory on how difficult it is sometimes to get to these places when franchises go through several eras of playing. And we just witnessed what can be argued is the greatest victory in the history of Minnesota basketball post, when they were the Minneapolis Lakers and whatever was happening around when George Mikan was running around. I don't know. I don't know what the hell was happening when George Mikan was running around.
Well, Greg does. He covered it. I mean.
Yes, I did. He played with big glasses on, I think. Who does that? To your point, the Heat is judged by the standard the Heat set for itself. Okay, so I don't, you can credit the past 5 years, but they haven't won a championship since LeBron left. And it's been more than 10 years now, or about 10 years. And that's the standard they have to live up to.
Do you think Heat fans, they don't appreciate the run the Heat have been on? Because I will tell you, as a Knicks fan, I am jealous of the Heat. I am jealous of that entire organization.
I believe there's a spoiled entitlement into what Heat fans think they deserve that doesn't take inventory of how hard it is to be as relevant as they've been this century.
But it's created by them. Like,
yes.
It's Pat Riley going in, look at my rings, I'm going to get you one of these, and then you don't get the free agent and you don't get the rings. It's championship culture, it's Heat culture, it's look at the banners, we have this championship thing. They are the ones that set this narrative up to have people say, you know what, you've fallen short of the narrative that you told us. So it's not crazy to be like, you guys haven't lived up to the expectations you set for yourselves and told us you were going to deliver on.
But in part, that's what I'm jealous of as a Knicks fan, that they've set the bar so high that it's championship every single season.
Well, my point isn't even that
the Knicks get happy to get to the Eastern Conference semifinals and lose.
That was ridiculous coverage. You were acting like it was like the end of some great run. It was a funeral. It was the end of someone's career. They were giving standing ovations. Like, your team choked, okay?
Oh,
like, you guys had this,
and
you choked, and you were embarrassed on your home court.
I was.
And you're giving them a standing ovation when, in reality, they deserve to be booed off the court for that performance.
Especially Brunson.
That was loser mentality by those fans saying, we're so proud, we're so happy. No, you guys got punked. This was embarrassing. You should boo them and demand change immediately.
Right. Did you hear Sam Morrill yesterday?
Oh,
he sounded like a punk. Salute to Sam. I love you.
Salute to Sam. Talk to you next year, hopefully.
What a great tool.
You say that they created these standards. They didn't do it by speaking them into existence. They won enough to create those standards.
Of course.
Can say all that stuff, and if you don't keep getting to the finals, if you don't keep winning the Eastern Conference or getting to the Eastern Conference finals, you don't spoil and entitle your fans. I'm sure the Patriot fans are insufferable right now. I'm sure that you can't be around Patriot fans based on what they expected Mac Jones to be. Good luck with that, Mac, replacing that guy. I'm sure people will be totally reasonable about you not being Tom Brady. Same thing with the Spurs, honest to God. Popovich was about to get kicked out of there just like Belichick. Yep. In total disgrace if he doesn't get Wembanyama. They'll run you out in 2 or 3 years now.
He'd get his dream of coaching a D3 team that he could never live up to for some reason.
Chris, let's play Evan Roberts, who Stugotz wanted to, I think, either replace or be the boss of at WFAN, giving voice to exactly what Billy said. Billy is now auditioning to be a host on Stugotz's WFAT.
Yeah.
What I do not understand from a lot of Knicks fans today is how you're okay. I don't understand that. I don't understand the thank yous. I don't understand the tears. I don't understand the chants. I don't understand these standing ovations that were given out yesterday. And maybe that says more about me, that I am broken as a sports fan. But when my team loses, it doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter why. When they lose and the season ends, I do not sit there and act like, well, we accomplished a lot and that was a lot of fun. I don't understand that. The facts are the New York Knicks got eliminated in the second round of the postseason. The same place they got eliminated 1 year ago. Facts. The facts are they had a lead in Game 3 with a 2-0 series lead and they blew it. Facts. The facts are they got blown out in a Game 7 at home. Facts. And here are the other facts. Yes, the Knicks were ravaged by injuries. I don't deny that. That doesn't make me feel better. It never did, and it never will. So what I don't understand about my fellow New Yorkers is what happened to you. Why are we celebrating? Why are we happy? Why are we smiling? Why are we saying thank you? Do I have to be the voice of reason? I'd be pissed.
No.
I'd be angry, and I'd be devastated that my season ended.
I can't believe he spent nearly 3 minutes doing that and not taking calls. I mean, it's a terrible job.
That's why you would have fired him, right? How do you come by the entitled standard when you've never done any actual winning? Like, that's doing something right there.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, they hadn't made a conference final since 2004. And down 20 in the second half, it looked bleak. But they dug deep. Because to be the champs, you have to beat the champs. And beat the champs they did. On their home court. Alex Rodriguez, courtside. The best young player in the game, Jaden McDaniels. We still don't know if they won the Rudy Gobert trade, but make no mistake about it. One thing we do know is that the Timberwolves are back.
Congratulations, Timberwolves.
Did they ever arrive?
If you're back, put it on the poll, Guillermo. If you're back, does it mean you've arrived?
I think the highest compliment you can give T.J. McConnell is that every New Yorker wishes they could punch him in the face.
It's annoying to lose that way.
It is.
To that guy.
Dan, I was wrong about Alec Burks. He can give you 25 on any given night. How about that?
You're going to take a victory lap over your Knicks, are you?
Yeah.
So they're all doing.
You got something right.
The Pacers shooting 67% and scoring 130 points in a Game 7 will keep Tom Thibodeau up for months. You think he slept since that game?
I have in front of me right now the exact Thibodeau game plan. This is from They Not Like Us. Number 1, Tibbs changes the culture. Players embrace hard working. 2, players perform beyond expectations. 3, a star is born and brought over. 4, expectations form. 5, a deep playoff run is expected. 6, freak injuries. 7, fans defend Tibbs hard. 8, players aren't the same the next year. 9, fans turn on Tibbs. 10, he's fired.
WFAN. Who sent that, Sal Licata?
They Not Like Us.
Oh, got it. Congratulations to the 2024 PGA Championship winner, Jeff Darlington. He won't say it, so I'll say it for him. Jeff Darlington was happy that Scotty Scheffler was arrested.
Wow. Allegedly.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Was Jeff Darlington happy that Scheffler was arrested?
Edwin Diaz. A lot less cool when you have a 5.50 ERA. Here's an idea. No music, no entrance. Just walk to the mound quietly and put the nail in the coffin. Sound good?
He's been bad.
5.5 ERA. He's a closer.
It's only 5.5 because he started okay. Like lately, it's been above 10.
Yeah. He stinks.
My team broke him. He cried.
You said your team was the hottest team in baseball.
Yeah.
They won one.
No.
One straight.
No,
yes.
they won like 5 of 6.
Yeah, 6 of 8.
There you go.
The hottest
Even
team
better.
in baseball.
Go Fish.
There are 5 teams that have won 4 straight.
I mean, they've won 6 of 8, and you said they've won 1.
One straight. One in a row.
What do you think of me giving you that scent and having a daily Marlins penny for your thought segment, where you get a bit
Brad
of
Penny.
where you
like
get
that.
a,
A Brad
piece
Penny for your thoughts.
like a piece of memorabilia in exchange for your crappy Marlins thoughts.
I think the audience would hate it, but I'd get a bunch of crap, I guess, that I'd like.
LeBron James, did you see the way they treated Isaiah Hartenstein? Imagine how they'll treat you. Seriously, Dan, he's got to go there. The Knicks have to trade for that pick. They have 3 picks in the first round.
You didn't want him.
Well, now I do. That was then.
2 weeks ago, y'all didn't even want LeBron. Now
That was then. This is now.
It's a good fit.
A lot has changed.
Right, Juju.
What if he hires J.J. Redick in L.A. and then leaves?
Wow.
Well, better to get Bronny drafted in Cleveland, J.J. Redick hired with the Lakers, and then goes to the Knicks.
Oh.
Get Shabazz Napier another job in Miami.
The Red Sox are a game under, but 8-0 this year on Sundays. Every given Sunday. The Lord's Day. I love a good Sunday, Dano.
Abby does not.
No, she hates Sundays. OKC, the rare 1 seed that still feels like they're a couple of years away from contending. Chet Holmgren, you're 7-1 and grabbed 3 more rebounds than I did over the weekend. Here's an idea. Less annoying commercials and more time in the weight room. Sound good?
Wow. Put it on the poll, Juju. Hey, Chet Holmgren, fewer annoying commercials, more time in the weight room. Yes or no? 1 word.
What a pro needs.
Thank you.
Sound good?
Sound good?
Yes.
Sound good? Yes. All 1 word.
Arsenal finished 2nd in the Premier League for a record 8th time. You know what the A in Arsenal stands for, Dan?
I do not.
Always the bridesmaid.
Wow.
Never the bride. Hey, 8 times. It's worse than the Bills.
That's pretty bad.
The I in Indiana stands for I don't think the Pacers missed a damn shot. Jesus. Alec Burks needed more help. Dan, little game of fill in the blank. Congratulations to Minnesota Timberwolves coach Blank for making it to the conference finals.
Finch, you know this.
Really?
You know this. Come
Wow.
on, Stugotz.
You are good.
Come on,
Just checking. I was
Stugotz.
making sure you
Come
knew. I knew. I
on.
was making sure you knew. That's all.
Him going out there on crutches. So good.
Nuggets fans, when your team loses 3 of 4 at home, maybe you have to ask yourself in the mirror, look at yourself and ask yourself, what more can you do?
They lost 1 game at home last year, right, during the playoffs?
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
They lost 3 in that series?
It's on the fans. 3 times as many. Stats. New York Knicks. Live by the Willis Reed moment. Die by the Willis Reed moment. Knicks Pacers. The rare series that finished on the same day it started. Weird. Can't believe how lucky Knicks fans were over the weekend. Losing a closeout Game 6 on the road to force a decisive Game 7 at home. Dan, are you on drugs? You know what the D in Dan stands for?
Drugs.
Wow.
Dan?
Good one. Good one.
Are you?
Dan, are you on drugs? Yeah.
No response.
Observations. I'm sorry, Dan.
No, that's okay.
What happened?
I'm a little slow from the drug.
You want to admit something?
No, just my drug use. For wanting Game 7s if you have a good team at home. My dumbest take.
Who wants a Game 7?
Nobody
when you
wants
have
to
a
get. That's right. Nobody wants
Close
a Game
out in
7.
6.
You have total confidence in your team, except if you're at home in a Game 7 and they're better. Then you don't.
I had no confidence. Observations had the Knicks won. The M in Mecca stands for Mr. Game 7. Congratulations to the Mecca for advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals.
You dared to write those jokes. You
Before
thought
the game.
You are the reason they lost because you had a comedy routine to do in the event that they won.
I work ahead, Dano. You know me. The Mecca. Best 2 words in sports. It's taken almost 9 years, but congratulations to Karl Anthony Towns for finally playing like a number 1 pick.
Has it been 9 years? It's
9 years.
No, really?
9 years. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
He's been in the league 9 years? No,
Yeah.
you're including Kentucky there, are you not?
Look it up.
No way he's been in the NBA for 9 years. That's not possible. There's no way that's true.
I hope it's
How
true.
could you keep saying 9 years again and again when there's no way that's true?
I mean, Taylor wrote it.
You don't write your own observations?
I write most of them. Taylor, he throws in a few. I take them out. They're usually about the Yankees and North Carolina.
There's no
That's
way.
why you never hear them.
9 years.
9 years.
Can't be right.
Yeah.
Apologize to Taylor.
His rookie season was 15-16.
How about that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Calipari.
I still think of him as a young player.
In fairness.
Yu Darvish with a 2.08 ERA at age 37. Some would say he found the fountain of youth.
That's good.
See what I did there, Dan?
Took me a minute to catch up to
See
that.
what
That's
Taylor
good.
did there?
Excellent.
I thought the most.
His name's you, Dan.
Yeah, Yu Darvish. Youth. Fountain of youth. It's tough, that sound.
It is. Yeah.
When you isolate it, not that tough, I guess.
One of the easier sounds, I'd say.
You
It
probably
is. You're
just
right,
go
yeah.
fountain of
I
you
had
and
to work it out
not
first.
worry with the TH.
Yeah, good point, Craig.
Yeah.
I thought the most impressive day in sports history was when Deion Sanders played in an NFL game and a Major League Baseball game on the same day. That was until Scotty Scheffler got arrested, went to prison, got out, and fired a 66 at the second round of the PGA Championship. That's impressive.
Prison is where you had him.
Have a day,
Little my
wouldn't
homies, free y'all, man.
Dan, close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes. Now imagine the same exact situation, but Scotty Scheffler is black. The B in Bryson DeChambeau stands for balls. The S in Xander Schauffele stands for stones. Back to that scenario for a second I created. Dan, you can keep your eyes open. Jeff Darlington's still very white.
Yes.
I'm just letting you know. Let's be clear. The 4-iron on 18 with 2 feet in the sand, ball above his feet, is one of the greatest golf shots of all time that we'll never talk about. It was amazing on a par 5 to pull that out, needing a birdie.
Do you agree, Greg?
I
see it.
didn't see that shot.
So why are we talking about it? Because it's Shoffley?
Yes. No one cares. Poor guy. He's joining us tomorrow, by the way.
You can ask him tomorrow. Is that one of the greatest shots ever that no one cares about?
He knows it is. Trust me. He knows how hard that shot is. Dan, both feet were in the sand.
He'd be bothered.
I'm telling
that
you,
no
if
one
you
cares
tried that
about
shot
it.
10 times, you would not advance it 100 yards. You. Or me. Greg would, though.
Or
I-
Darvish.
yeah. I could do it.
Fountain of youth. Kevin Spacey was interviewed by Chris Cuomo over the weekend. You, of course, know what that means, right, Dan? It means a couple of canceled guys were cutting it up. James Dolan, your Mecca is not MSG. It's the Sphere. The S in Sphere stands for shrooms. The P stands for psychedelics. The H stands for holy shit. The E stands for ecstasy. The R stands for reefer. The other E stands for every 2 weeks, I'm going back. Every 2 weeks.
We haven't
This
talked
week
to
off,
you.
next week back.
We haven't talked to you about what it was. We haven't mined all of your drug use this weekend.
Holy shit. That's what it was.
It's terrible music.
What?
I said it.
What?
I said it. You need the drugs. It doesn't work without the drugs.
It works fine without the drugs.
You need the drugs.
I'm 2 seconds from sending your ass to the penalty box, Dan. Tighten up.
You need drugs to enjoy the music. It's not good music without the drugs.
Are you saying any music or that
No,
music?
Your music.
No.
That music that you
No.
go to Vegas
No,
to
no,
enjoy.
No. No drugs required. Although I've never listened to them when I'm not on drugs.
Because it's not any good when you're not on drugs.
Touche.
Something
Hater.
to ponder. Sitting in the 200 or 300 level atmosphere on mushrooms and trying to stand up. The most dangerous of games. Be careful, man. Chris Kreider with a third period Hattie. Cementing his place in Rangers history. Crides. That was a game that gets you in the rafters. It does. He could do nothing else the remainder of his career. That jersey is headed straight up to the rafters. I'm telling you right now.
You New York fans love the second round, don't y'all?
I don't even like the
Damn.
Rangers, man. I mean, Miles McBride took a deuce all over the Mecca. That was good. You know what the B in Brunson stands for, Dan? Ben Shepherd, you are not.
Oh, broken is what I thought you were going to go with.
On behalf of all Knicks fans, our apologies for making you watch Celtics and Pacers. If I'm being honest, though, the Knicks would have been swept by Boston. I'm being honest, the Pacers are going to get swept by Boston. Series is over. It's a wrap.
Not so fast, my friend.
I'm with you, Juju.
Panthers, Rangers, heavyweight fight. It is. I don't care what anyone tells me.
Are there a lot of people telling you that it's not a heavyweight fight?
Yeah, they're disrespecting the Panthers.
They're coming up to you.
If it
and
was
saying
Rangers
it's not
Flyers, it would be
fight.
a heavyweight fight. But Rangers Panthers, the Panthers don't seem deserving to many fans outside of this market. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're saying on WFAN.
I think people that watch hockey respect the Panthers.
No, they don't.
They do.
Hockey in Florida, they do not respect. I'm telling you. Canada and East Coast.
The casual fan does not. The people who have been watching hockey this year, it's not up for dispute. But if it were Panthers Flyers, it would also be flight. You have it the right way. It wouldn't just be. It would be flight with the Flyers.
Thank you. P.J. Washington has more playoff wins in Dallas than the Hornets have since 2001. All of a sudden, Kyrie Irving is a leader. Not buying it. Coach K said tap the brakes on comparing Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan. Wise man. He knows. You know what the K in Coach K stands for, Dan? Knows. Hey, look at you. Something Michael Jordan would never do. Goes 6 of 24 to Game 7. Jesus. Scotty Scheffler, the rare golfer that goes from a green jacket to an orange jumpsuit. If Scotty Scheffler knew what was good for him, he'd make orange his Sunday color. Dan, since you said horse racing isn't dead, can you name the horse who won the Preakness over the weekend?
Oh, no, I wasn't paying
Because
any
it's
attention.
dead. Yeah.
The horse?
No, the horse is still alive.
Oh,
the sport is dead.
goodness.
Yeah. Nikola Jokic, too bad. I was about to start calling you NJ. So close.
So close. He almost got to be called NJ.
Wherever and whenever a major golf tournament is being played, you know what you'll find? You'll find Justin Rose lurking. Top 5 golfers who love to lurk at a major. OLI. Lee Westwood. Ian Poulter. Number 5. Patrick Cantlay. Number 4, Will Zalatoris. Number 3,
He's run out of music again. He's run out of music because it's too long.
Well,
I'm resetting it. It'll be back in a second.
Tuesday. Number 3, Victor Hovland. Number 2, Tommy Fleetwood. Number 1, Colin Montgomery. Monty. Playing blackjack on mushrooms. Dangerous game. Great job by Nora O'Donnell, who had a 1-hour sit-down with the Pope. That's a big get, considering Francesa hasn't done a lot of that since he retired. Jeff Darlington played it all wrong. He should have turned into some sort of crusader and gotten arrested with Scotty Scheffler. Darlington, you put yourself in the cell with Scotty Scheffler.
Boom.
Jeff Darlington, what people in our industry wouldn't give to be in the right place at the right time. I would have parlayed this into being the next Bob Lee. You know what the J in Jeff Darlington stands for?
I don't.
Unfortunately, it stands for Jeff Darlington. You know what the J in Jeff Darlington could have stood for? Jeff Darlington, host of the ABC National News in 2020. The D in Darlington could have stood for David Muir. Big mistake. Top 5 people in sports media who would have done the right thing with this story and made it all about themselves. Number 5, Pat McAfee. Number 4, Stephen A. Smith. Number 3, Greg Cody.
Yeah.
Number 2, Mike Francesa. Number 1, me. The guy playing multiple slot machines at once. Go to hell. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
You mentioned Kevin Spacey, and Liam Neeson has decided late in life to be the person who defends the indefensible. And Liam Neeson has said that the film industry needs Spacey, misses Spacey, that he's a good man and he's a man of character.
No.
If you have not seen the Spacey documentary on HBO, I would suggest it to you. It is revealing in a way that you might not have had access to on how it is that people can feel powerless, even if they're straight Marines, in the face of someone abusing power to make them feel helpless. Stugotz, I wanted to ask you about the Darlington thing because I think Greg Cody would agree with you. Darlington, we asked Jeff to come on the show with us yesterday, and he's usually very available to us, but he said he wanted the reporting to speak for itself. He did not want to bring attention to the fact that he happened to be there videoing when Scheffler was arrested. Man. And he is staying out of the story in a way that Greg Cody and Stugotz never would. If they had that footage, they would be roaming the earth on tour. They would not.
I would have been in the cell with him. I told you.
Yeah, you would have pretended to be a freedom fighter on behalf of running over a police officer at a scene where someone's dead. You would have been the face of that, freedom fighting for, I have to fight for the white strength of country club privilege that comes with, he shouldn't be in jail stretching, he should be on the first tee.
They would have turned the camera on themselves. This is an injustice. Look at us.
Yes.
Lock me up.
But if you're there the entire time, you're in the cop car with them, you're in the cell with them, that's reported.
They don't just let people in cop cars with people. Like, hey, I'd like to go in the cop car, please.
Paddy wagon, something like that?
Paddy wagon. My first question of Jeff Darlington would be, the hell were you doing out there at 5 a.m.?
His job?
At 5 a.m., what, he anticipated Scheffler would be arrested?
No, there was a van full of 4 ESPN talents that were all getting there at the same time. There was an additional report where an ESPN reporter talked to Bob Wischusen, who was also in the van, and he was also a witness to what happened up into a point until then Darlington continued to follow Scheffler to figure out what was going on, which I think we should honestly, in all earnestness, commend him for, because that's the kind of situation that he probably hasn't been in very often, covering golf events where suddenly the number one golfer in the world is being arrested in front of your eyes, and he kept a very clear head, immediately took out his phone and started videotaping it, which I thought was very, it was thinking on your feet very quickly, which I think a lot of other people maybe would have gotten frazzled and not done such a good job.
Scotty Scheffler at one point turned to Jeff Darlington and said, "Can you help me?" I would have offered help before he even asked that question.
I'm on my way, Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty, I got you.
Get your hands off of Scotty.
Get your hands
He's
off
the number one golfer in the world. If you take him, you're going to take me too, god dang it.
If he goes, I go. And then you become Scheffler's guy for the remainder of time.
And then Wischusen gets in. He's like, if he goes, I go. And then all of a sudden, everyone's going.
In all seriousness, though, if the Louisville state attorney elects to prosecute this case, Jeff Darlington is going to be like the main witness.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be very interesting.
I still want for you guys to absorb. Just imagine the number of improbable scenarios that have Stugotz sober and working and trying at 5 a.m. Now make it the number one golfer in the world is pleading, help me, in the general direction of Stugotz. Stugotz will have emptied his bank accounts by the end of the day and made sure that he has taken 84% of Scheffler's earnings before he's out of jail.
And I'm his guy.
Were you guys watching live as it was all unfolding? Because my favorite part of that situation was Marty Smith was at the golf club when he arrived. So they went live to Marty to check in with him. Marty, what's happening? We see that Scotty's there. What's going on? And he's like, he was walking in, and I asked him, Scotty, any comment on what happened this morning? And he just said, Marty, I love you. And then he kept walking in. And that was that report. He did great reporting the rest of the day, but that was my favorite report of the day.
No, but this is exactly what Stugotz would have done. Scotty Scheffler's getting arrested, and Stugotz just gives sorry, buddy.
If it was us, Danny B would have been there telling Stugotz, because Stugotz would have still been at the hotel. Like, hey, I just saw Scotty
Get over here,
Scheffler.
Scotty. He's about to get arrested.
What would have happened is that entire thing would have happened. Stugotz would have had his flashlight on his phone on, not known how to do the camera, and just said, "Love you, buddy," and the news would have escaped him. Not unlike Donald Trump has figured out that if you just inundate the news stream with all manner of shame, we can't keep up with it all, and your shamelessness will be able to win. Stugotz has figured out how it is to bombard our show and all its producers with so much information in real time that we can't keep up with the game of whack-a-mole. So he said recently that Michael Jordan would never lose 2 home games in a row in the playoffs, and then we looked it up and found out that he had. And he also said that Michael Jordan would never go 6 for 24 in a playoff game, but against the Pacers he did go 9 for 25 in a playoff game. But it doesn't matter, because in Stugotz's memory, Michael Jordan shot 100% from the field in his career, and so we've sent him off to jail, where he is presently sitting with the giant head of Scotty Scheffler, 5 or 6 times the size of
terrifying, honestly.
Stugotz's head. Stugotz, what are you doing in there with the jail cell with Scotty Scheffler?
Well, Dan, Scotty turned to me. He asked, "Hey, can you help me out?" And I said, "I can help you out. If you go, I go." And so I am now currently in a prison cell with Scotty Scheffler. He should have been arrested for the size of his head. He wasn't. But I am going to get Scotty Scheffler out of here in no time for the right amount of money. Okay?
He's just closer to the camera, guys. It's a perspective thing.
Yeah.
It's not a prison, it's a jail, Stugotz. Those two things are different.
Are they?
Put it on the poll, please, at
Yes.
LeBatard Show. Do you know the difference between a prison and a jail?
Do you know the difference of 6 of 24 and 9 of 27? I'm wondering, just out of curiosity.
It was 9 of 25.
Oh, even
I
better
guess
for Michael. How about that?
That's a clean cell.
taken.
By the way, Dan, Scotty can't talk. He's very upset about this. He has to get to the second round of the PGA. There was no reason he should have been arrested, so you won't be hearing from Scotty Scheffler, okay?
Okay, so you are acting as his attorney in jail, his accomplice?
His friend, Dan. His friend who would do anything for Scotty Scheffler. You know what I'm talking about, Scotty?
All right, go ahead and give us the backstory there, because I do think it's interesting, Greg. How look at me would you have been if you had been the only reporter with video access to that news story? How available, how quickly would you have hired a publicist, a publicity team, and how available would you have immediately become to the American media?
I mean, I would have, I'd have T-shirts in my merch store of me at 5 a.m. wearing a miner's helmet with a light on it. I would be doing every single show imaginable. I would have done a live Greg Cody Show podcast episode live at 4:30 in the morning. Would have done it all, man. You got to take advantage. Look at Scheffler, he never blinks. You have to take advantage of a situation like that. Darlington, I feel like, left the ball on the ground. Although if this thing does go to trial and Scheffler is prosecuted, key witness, eyewitness, Jeff Darlington.
Jessica, do you think that Darlington buys himself anything in hiding from the look at me of this? We asked him to come on, and the only reason we wanted him on was just to talk about how surreal it was to be him that day and get caught up in that storm, and he wants the work to speak for itself.
I feel like he's doing the thing from the newsroom where he's like, I reported the news. You know? And I kind of like that for him.
Lame.
He sort of is the news, though, in a certain
I reported the
respect.
news.
Pablo can be very look at me. Pablo has a young theater kid as a kindergartner that has been pushed down his entire life. Pablo, how would you, Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast, and it is getting very popular. How would you have handled the entire Scheffler situation if you were the only reporter who had video of that? Would you have been a news hound, or would you have been, look at me, I want to do the publicity tour for being the news?
Well, I think Jeff Darlington did what a journalist should do. When you're presented with a situation where you're right behind, in the car behind, and you get out and you tape, and you have the only camera footage that you have because the body cam was off. Why is this a controversy? Wait, who's objecting to his instinct there? Is it because he's not doing interviews about this?
Well, Greg,
Answer the question, Pablo. You didn't answer the
Greg
question. Great deflection. What would you have done, brother?
What would you have done?
I would have done that, and I would have tried to, when I was pushed. I mean, look, I'm not trying to do like I'm a bigger, tougher journalist than Jeff Darlington. I'm not saying that. I would have done what he would have done and tried to see how long I could stay out there to get footage. That seems like an obvious call to me.
Oh, so you would have pushed against the police and risked your own arrest.
Well, I'm not saying that a goal of mine would be to get arrested. I'm just saying Jeff Darlington was within his rights to be there and to do that. Right? Like,
Pablo,
What?
The Look at Me reporter, yes, he was within his rights, absolutely. We're marveling at his restraint, at his not wanting to be the story. Greg and Stugotz would have wanted to just be closer to everything that was happening there, and Stugotz has now created the scenario where he ends up in jail with Scheffler as a freedom fighter.
A crusader, Dan.
Pablo, let's check in now with Stugotz here so he can give you his position, because you've dropped the ball. With time to think about it, you failed here, Pablo, to get maximum attention for Pablo.
I'm disappointed. I'm seeing what Stugotz is doing here, and I am learning from the master. Yeah,
Listen, the game is going to pass you by, Pablo, okay? It's not about the news. It's not about journalism. It's about you. It's about your brand. And what you do in that spot is you do what I did. You get arrested with Scotty Scheffler. You go to prison with Scotty Scheffler. That's reporting. That's journalism. That's Look at Me, Louie. That's what journalism has turned into these days. Darlington squandered an opportunity. I'm sitting here. I have the keys to the cell, okay? Oh, my God. This is great. I'm getting Scheffler out, and me and Scheffler are going to be buddies for life. 80-20 my way. Keys to the cell. You like that, Dan?
You're still making it prison. It's not prison. He was stretching in jail. You don't want to be doing that in prison.
Stugotz has him and Scotty Scheffler doing the Shawshank Redemption thing together.
Yes.
He has them escaping together.
Yes.
The underrated part of this is you going to be in jail the rest of the day. Scotty going to be out in an hour.
That's what you do for a friend, Juju. That's what you do to make – and then the story becomes all about you. Because you are left alone in prison, and Scheffler, hopefully, after he fires a 66, second-round PGA, comes to get you out.
Stugotz,
That's a story. That's how you do it, right, Scotty?
You're only getting the second best lawyer in Louisville if this happens to you. You know that, right?
Doesn't matter. I don't need an attorney. The longer I sit in jail, prison, whatever Dan wants to call it, the better for me. The longer I sit there and people are talking about, oh, my God, Stugotz, he did something nice for Scotty Scheffler. Can you believe 14 days later, he is still sitting in jail?
You guys don't understand.
Oh, what a story.
Yes, he would go on a hunger strike in jail. They'd be trying to let him out. They'd open the doors, and he's like, no, I'm staying here imprisoned in the attention.
Stugotz, you can go now. No, I don't want to go. I'm going to make this my home for a couple of weeks. Why? Because that makes me even bigger than I already am. How about that? You can let Scotty go. Keep me in here for a month for all I care. 3 squared, Dan.
Stugotz would reveal to the police from inside of the jail cell that he had marijuana vape cartridges on him.
Yes.
He would do the reverse grinder just to stay in there for as long as possible.
You should check out my house. I mean,
do you think jail's a hotel you just come and go as you please to?
I'm not saying it's comfortable, but, Billy, when I get out in 30 days, oh, my God, I'm going to replace David Muir on 2020. How about that? Seriously, am I wrong, Dan?
Yes, just morally and in general, you are wrong, but you are right.
Pablo, I put myself in the cell with Scotty Scheffler. That's journalism, my friend.
That's not.
BFFs for life as well after that.
Are you taking journalism classes while you're in prison?
No. I am reading a book, Stugotz's personal record book. You can check it out here. That's what we do in prison, Dan. We have time.
Letters from a Louisville jail.
Yes.
Stugotz goes Martin Luther King.
We like to read in jail. Yeah. StugottsBook.com. Check it out. My personal record book. Scotty, I'll sign one for you. Yeah.
We will check back in with Stugotz in jail in a moment.
Scotty?
But he does have this right. He could. Jeff Darlington blew a glorious chance at doing everything Stephen A. Smith did to capitalize on a Sunday.
Thank you.
In terms of brand management, Jeff Darlington.
Stugotz tunnel walking with cameras around him into jail. Yes.
Selfie stick. Now, how about that, brothers?
I want you to imagine Scheffler on a boat somewhere cleaning it up, and Stugotz walking up like Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption because they're lifelong. He and Red are lifelong buddies. Stugotz would have absolutely parlayed that into a heavenly buffet of what can I get from the #1 golfer in the world. Look at him.
You're so right.
The irony of Stugotz being the one who ends up in a First Amendment lawsuit with a police department and not you, Dan, for reporting the news would be, I think, I don't know, that would be great, right? That'd be hilarious.
It is appropriate
Hilarious.
that Stugotz becomes the Edward Snowden of sports media because he wants to be in jail with Scotty Scheffler.
I don't know who that is, but I agree with you, Pablo. I mean, Snowden, genius, this guy.
Darlington, you're a fool.
Thank you.
You are holding on to an antiquated set of journalistic ideals. You should.
I don't want to be the story. What are you, a moron? Oh, my God. You're a bigger moron than Scotty. You should be arrested for being a moron. I love you, Jeff.
Stugotz definitely thinks Edward Snowden is like another golfer, right?
that just walked out of jail. Yeah, he's doing whatever he wants freely.
Just missed the cut on Sunday. Edward Snowden.
It's unfortunate. Do it in a major.
Pablo, what is on Pablo Torre Finds Out? Where are you following your curiosities in this episode?
Oh, today is the most journalistic investigation we've ever done, Dan. It is me and Mina Kimes and David Dennis Jr. watching all of X-Men 97 and talking about it. So I don't know if anybody here had the childhoods that we had. We've been waiting 30 years to talk about a cartoon. We talked about the cartoon. It's the horniest cartoon I've ever seen, and it made me very happy to talk about all of it.
Everyone I have heard talk about it, I don't know whether it's tapping into nostalgia, childhood, or what, they say it is exceptionally well done, well written, and that it's a piece of art worth, not just if you're channeling it through the filter of childhood, but a modern day piece of art independent of that.
It's tremendous. And I just want to ask Greg, personally, can you attempt to give us a summary of what you think X-Men 97 is about? What do you imagine this show is?
I'm not a big superhero cartoon kind of guy.
Good start.
I mean, X-Men, I assume, is a group of 5 superheroes all trying to outdo each other. I have no idea.
I like
really
it
don't.
as 5 former men.
That's right.
Okay, what is it? It's a cartoon, right?
It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon, Greg, about mutant powers and superheroes. That's sort of an analogy for civil rights in America and so forth and so on. But I want you to actually can you give us the names of what you think these superheroes, the 5 superheroes, what are their names, do you imagine?
The Avenger.
Great.
Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible Hulk.
Okay, you're just plagiarizing actual superhero names.
Batman. And Godzilla. How many did I get right?
Please make a T-shirt.
It's a good list.
That is all of those
things
as X-Men.
Yes,
See?
Yes,
watch that.
That's merch.
That's what you should be doing your show about. My 5 guys. Did
So,
I get
by
any
the
right?
way,
Did I get any right? I'm just curious.
you could not have been more wrong, but
Okay.
although Godzilla is a brilliant addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Thank you.
The multiverse should welcome in. Yeah.
I think so.
One more thing I was thinking about, Dan, was there's this story about how OpenAI is like being sued by Scarlett Johansson because they're taking her voice and they're using that to be the voice of like our, of course, future dystopia. I think Greg Cody should be the voice of OpenAI. I think there's a giant missed opportunity in not having Greg Cody be a voice option for your computer when it talks to you.
Really? Can I say anything I want?
Well,
I mean,
it would be a bunch of different things that would resemble artificial intelligence.
Oh, so I have to talk according to what I'm asked to speak about.
No, they use your voice to say whatever they want as you.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I go for that.
All right, let's talk to
see.
Pablo about the serious parts of this instead of the parts about Greg Cody formulating a voice. The Scarlett Johansson story has been a story here for a couple of years that I don't believe is being covered very well because she's rightfully pissed off about things that are being taken from her that are supposed to be hers in a changing technological world. What are the areas of this story that are most illuminating to you?
I think it's just how on the nose it is because it's all based on the fact that Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, I think OpenAI is an incredibly impressive company that is almost less untrustworthy as a super villainous concept, like they're trying to kill everybody on the planet. I don't think they're trying to do that. I think what they're just doing is clumsily trying to sell people products. I think capitalism is a story of artificial intelligence. And so there's this movie called Her, in which Scarlett Johansson her voice plays the voice of the sentient general intelligence robot AI. And what Sam Altman did was essentially say to himself, that movie's cool. I want that to be real life artificial intelligence. And it just leaves me not trusting him on the level of business. Like, it's so clumsy. The idea that you're using the apocalyptic movie voice to be the real life voice of the thing you're making in reality, it feels just deeply disconnected. It's sort of like how people watch movies and they don't know who the villains are. And I think Sam Altman is realizing, or maybe he's only now realizing, how on the nose it is for them to inhabit a fictional world in which AI is a nightmare and then try to sell that to people under the guise of, man, this is awesome, isn't it?
But the problem, right, is that they asked her to use her voice, and then she's saying that she said no, and then when the voice came out yesterday, it sounded exactly like her, and so she's now suing them over that. And then I think he also had a tweet a month or so ago or maybe a couple years ago, I'm not sure, where he tweeted her, like, the name of the movie. So I think is that not what the lawsuit's about?
Yes. So what's happened is that Scarlett Johansson said, no, I don't want to do that. And they basically have the powers to, as they do, simulate anyone's voice. And so I think they're claiming that they hired a voice actress who is not Scarlett Johansson to do this, but they hired essentially a Scarlett Johansson impersonator. And so whether or not they simulated her voice or hired a human who sounds a lot like her, it is exactly what an AI company, the caricature of one, would do. And so, yeah, Dan, what it does is it speaks to every sort of sense that you might have as someone who creates something, that this company is not to be trusted, that they're just going to take from real people to simulate those real people and use that real person's voice against their will to create more technology to do exactly that forever.
I want to ask the group of you what you think of when you think of a movie that was way ahead of its time. I don't know if Her is ahead of its time or of
I believe it was.
But of its time, because there were plenty of people living in this space before I was. Obviously, I've aged out, and artificial intelligence, all of it has sort of caught me off guard. But there were plenty of people living off the grid 10 years ago when Her made an appearance. I want to ask the group to think of the movie you most associate with being ahead of its time. But what is happening with Stugotz right now, Billy? I don't understand. He is now in jail by himself. No longer. Scotty Scheffler has
Scotty's out. Yeah.
Scotty has
got him out, Dan. Yeah.
Okay. So now where's this story going, Stugotz?
Well, it's going with me sitting in prison by myself because the cops came, Dan, and they said, listen, only one of you can leave. And I, of course, told Scotty, hey, you got big things to do today. Second round PGA, go win that Wanamaker trophy. I'm staying right here in this cell. I'm trying to win a bigger trophy, that Pulitzer Prize thing you're always talking about.
That is how jail works. Who wants to get out? I can get one person out of here.
Right.
Yeah, like
you do what you got to do
league.
for a friend. That's what you do. Yep.
Kevin Durant has 0 titles in my record book.
StugotzBook.com.
How about that, brothers?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you guys understand how many different deals Stugotz would parlay Scotty Scheffler shouting at him like a man from the bottom of a well, help me, can you help me? Like, can you imagine Stugotz just waddling into a heroic arrest?
You have no idea, buddy.
Scotty, I can help you, but can you help me?
If Stugotz can get his phone working to video and not just turn his flashlight on and run into the woods.
It'd be a selfie of him watching Scotty get arrested.
That's what you did. That's what Darlington should have done. I mean, what's the matter with
He would have made it a cameo. Stugotz would have it would have been, if there could be body cam footage but a cameo, Stugotz would have recorded it. Yes.
And Blade Runner.
Yep. Dan, I've asked the officers here, how long can I stay? They're not telling me. I've asked. I want to stay as long as I can. Hopefully, you'll come get me out one day, Dan. You probably won't. Scotty will, though, after he wins the PGA or finishes in the top 5. But I asked the cops. They said, listen, it could be a while, processing, all this stuff, everything. I said, listen, I'm in no rush. I'll stay here for as long as I can. How about that?
All right.
I'm offering to stay in prison.
All right. I think the bit is over. Come back in
it's
here.
not.
Come back in here and spend some
getting
time
started.
with us and go ahead.
Serve hard time.
And imprison me in the hell I've lived in for the last 20 years. Just come right back in here and join us on the show. Pablo, before you came on, we were talking about a couple of things I wanted to get your opinion on.
Ladybugs.
What do people want from their sports coverage? It's a general question, but sports fans, we're in dramatically changing times, and it seems like every broadcast has a whole bunch of complaints about what the broadcast is. The modern age, the new sports fan of tomorrow, what do they want from their sports coverage?
I think they want their sports coverage to make them feel like the thing they're about to watch is the most important event on the world, on the globe, in the world, in the universe. I think that what NBC got right, what am I nostalgic for? I'm nostalgic for those NBC, NBA, Bob Costas essays, Dan. You remember those?
Yeah.
Where it would be him for like 2 minutes setting up the stakes that made you feel like you're about to watch a clash of civilizations. I think that's what people want, is the idea that you're about to watch something important and something special. I think when it comes to studio shows, everybody has been fooled into thinking that Inside the NBA is the model, and Inside the NBA is the best studio show in the history of studio shows, but it's also unreplicable. And so people are trying to do the thing that is impossible to do, which is copy someone else's chemistry with people who don't have it. And so I think the biggest mistake that companies like ESPN make is the idea of, we're going to give you an imitation of something as opposed to selling you the event. And I think the event is the thing that matters. As much as I want to be, a pro gas bag job creator, I think you got to focus on the event.
Didn't ESPN do that, though, on Sunday? I mean, it was, for New York, the biggest event on the globe.
I mean, I don't want to just criticize ESPN's studio coverage, but I would say that if you watched it and you watched Stephen A's tunnel walk, it was great for memes and bad for everybody else. And I think that's another tension in the world of how to broadcast games, is there are things that you can do for the internet audience, for memes, that are inherently funny. And I'm still talking about the Stephen A. tunnel walk. But to insert it into the presentation of, here is the most important game in New York City, you could argue, in 50 years, since 1973, I think that was a miscalculation. Even if it was tongue-in-cheek and funny and something that I laughed at. I think you want to play it straighter.
I got 2 words that improve every single broadcast around the nation. Bruce Buffer. You're welcome.
I thought of a show ahead of its time, not a movie, but a show. The Jetsons.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Still haven't gotten there. Flying cars.
We're getting close, though.
Robot maids.
Yeah,
A show behind its time, The Flintstones.
Yes, that's true. Different game, but
very
yes,
nice.
great point.
George
Jurassic
Jetson
Park.
was riding a copter, an
Flying
individual
car, yeah.
copter, and
a
now
spaceship, wasn't it? Wasn't it a bit of a
well,
vehicle
but
spaceship?
it was an individual though.
I think they were on Earth just floating. I don't think it was in space.
Was
Yeah.
it? They didn't fly rocket ships around. They were driving
No.
cars.
Yeah,
they were
flying cars.
Flying cars.
Still haven't
Teslas.
gotten there, yeah.
Yeah, and now we're close to that. You're gonna be able to Uber, but in the air within a couple of years.
That is just not true.
Put it on the
Maybe
poll.
No, it's
Yeah.
true.
No, it
Juju
is
at
true.
LeBatard.
Within a
Basically
couple
airline
years.
By the
travel.
year 2000,
Yeah.
we'll have that.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Are we going to be in flying Ubers in a couple of years?
I'm reporting it. I mean, I'm not speculating. It's happening.
The salary of a sprocket, was he a sprocket salesman, a sprocket worker? What did he do for Spacely
it was
Sprockets?
Sprockets, yes.
Spacely
Yeah.
Sprockets.
so.
But what did he do?
He was in an ancillary division, unimportant as an employee.
Well, important enough that he was able to afford a robot maid, and he had, his
No,
flying
he
car.
was like the Lewis of sprocket makers. He was somewhere in the back.
Yeah, he was a mid-level
I think
executive.
he got laid off.
Wow, straight.
Did Lewis?
I don't think he was a mid-level executive. I believe he was more of a factory worker, a labor man quashed by management.
He wasn't dressed like a factory worker.
No, he's a mid-level exec.
White collar,
That's-
literally.
Not everybody was flying back then, but he
Mm-hmm.
was.
Pablo, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you tomorrow.
We have some video to get to with Ron McGill of animals being tickled, a stingray being tickled, a baby gorilla being tickled. Ron, who is the most ticklish of the animals that you can delight in just fooling around with, and you will get a playful creature?
I don't usually play around with the wild animals. I mean, there are some dogs that I've had that have been very ticklish, but when you get into the wild animals, of course, all the primates, you see that. And not necessarily with the stingray there. It's not necessarily ticklish. It's more of a sensitivity. It might be kind of a defensive mechanism, because stingrays get eaten from the bottom. So it might be trying to do it.
Oh, wait a minute. So we're showing
this
a
is torture.
stingray torture video is what we're just showing.
That could be, yes, it could be. That's not necessarily.
It doesn't look like torture. He looks like he's having a good time.
First of all,
His lips are puckered up.
Yeah, well, that's you being a little anthropomorphic there. Stingrays, first of all, shouldn't be on their back. That's stressful in itself.
I don't know what that means.
Let's go ahead and it's when you give human characteristics to an animal.
I would nominate Dan if I could jump in. I would nominate my dad as the most ticklish animal.
Wow.
I could come in there and tickle him if you want. He is very ticklish.
Let's not do that.
Jess, that
looks like you got a haircut. You look very clean cut today,
Thank you.
Greg.
I appreciate that, Ron. Thank you.
Jess, that hell yeah with food in your mouth.
Stingrays get eaten from the bottom. I was going to ask you.
You okay?
Oh, God. You okay?
You're eating on the
pay
air.
myself $5. I was gonna ask you, Ron, because you know how humans will be like, "Don't tickle me. I'm gonna kick you. Don't do it. I'm gonna hurt you." Is that what wild animals do? But then they actually will like maul you.
Yeah.
If animals maul you, it's because they are being defensive and they think they're being hurt. It's not because they're saying, I don't want to be tickled. They think you're not tickling them. They think you're going to hurt them. So that's probably where they'd be defensive that way. But, there are other animals. You can see baby chimps, baby gorillas, a lot of the apes. They're ticklish like humans. You can see youngsters. They'll actually smile and show their teeth and give that classic ticklish response. But not all these responses, as an example, that stingray, are being ticklish. They're actually being defensive.
Stugotz, we're going to play some video here of is it a gorilla? It's a baby gorilla being tickled. I think this is actually tickling as well. But I'm scared at what's walked into the room because since Greg Cody was much younger, his son, who is now an adult, can tickle him in a way that will enrage Greg Cody. Greg Cody is not...
How about we don't do that?
Oh, well, your son's in here now, and now we get to all enjoy, before this gorilla video, what Chris believes to be the most ticklish creature in the entire animal kingdom.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Come on. Get away.
Maul him, Greg. Maul his ass.
He's old now. I feel bad doing this, but I can get it right under the armpit.
Get his feet. Get his feet.
Enough. Okay.
Woo!
He does not like being tickled. Let's play the baby gorilla, though, probably enjoys being tickled. This is more playful.
That is certainly more playful, yes, because that's an interaction that they would do intraspecies. Stingrays don't tickle each other, okay? But this is a bonding behavior between an adult and an infant, and that is a classic, yes, that's tickling.
Is there another animal that, if you were to tickle it, would simply disembowel you? Like that somebody would feel comfortable enough to tickle and then be surprised that the next thing they know, they've got spikes in their eyes?
A cassowary bird. If you were able to get close enough to tickle it, once you tickled it, you'd be disemboweled.
Ron, earlier in the show, we were talking about Victor Wembanyama and what he spent his first NBA check on, and he bought a Lego Millennium Falcon. Greg was unfamiliar and thought that it was an actual bird. So, is it a bad idea or a good idea to buy an actual falcon? Can we do it, and how much would it cost?
In this country, you cannot do it without a permit, without having a bird of prey falconer's permit. I don't know what the price would be. That would depend on the bird, assuming that you had the permit and you were legally able to do so. But in this country, you cannot own a bird of prey without any type of special permit.
About $100 million for Kirk Cousins.
The what?
I'll see myself.
In South Florida, there are any number of places where you will find exotic animals.
If I wanted a falcon, I could get a falcon, Ron. So is it a good idea or a bad idea?
It's a bad idea. You know what? If you wanted crack cocaine, you could get it too. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So wait, hold on. Owning a falcon is like doing crack cocaine?
They're both illegal.
How illegal is it to own a falcon? Because South Florida has a whole lot of exotic pets and illegal pets. We can't. I've got to assume, do I have this wrong? If you had to guess, South Florida has more rule breaking in this regard than any other city in the United States.
South Florida and Texas. Both of those states are pretty bad when it comes to exotic animals.
What is the strangest thing you have learned of a South Floridian owning as an animal where you would be like, how is that something that they own? They should not own that. That's not allowed.
It's the classic. It's the big cats, tigers, lions, leopards. Incredibly venomous snakes, gaboon vipers, kraits, spitting cobras. People own those things in this state.
What's something that looks illegal but is not illegal that I can own so I won't get in trouble but people still think I'm a bad boy?
I can't think of one off the top of my head, Billy. You come up with the greatest questions. I don't know.
Stumped. He is stumped.
Ones that you can't answer.
So in the interim, let's just play him a video of a falcon on cocaine, please. Just in general, a falcon on cocaine.
2 crimes.
Oh,
it's just Willie Falcone, the
that's
cigarette.
Really bad. That's
one
bad.
of the cocaine cowboys. Lewis, don't ever do that again. The endowment of Ron McGill, I will tell the audience again that the endowment of Ron McGill is something that doesn't have any paperwork intermediaries. It is just him getting help to the animal kingdom. The listeners of this show have raised millions of dollars for Ron McGill's substantive endowment. He missed last week's show because of the hyena surgery. I didn't know that there was an emergency.
Like being tickled, right, Ron?
The hyena.
Yeah, it was a procedure. Actually, we had to do an endoscope on a hyena because people were throwing trash onto the exhibit, and the hyena ate it. And if there's something that people can learn from this is please do not throw things on the animal habitats. Not only is it against the rules, against the law, but you can hurt an animal. This animal could have potentially died from eating this crap that people throw on there to try to get an animal's attention when it might be resting in the shade or doing something or doing nothing and they want it to do something. Folks, please, you don't understand the stress these animals can go through when we have to deal with this type of problem.
Ron, I was at the zoo a couple weeks ago and I almost texted you because I don't remember the exact animal, but it was like a deer-like animal. And it was in that trench, that like safety trench that exists, I guess, so the animals can't come.
Yeah, in the moat. It was probably a Nyala.
Okay, yeah, I think it was. They can just go down there and get back up and it's fine? It's nothing to be alarmed about?
Yep, no, nothing to be alarmed about. They go down in the moat all the time, sometimes just to get shade, sometimes just to have their own privacy. It's important to us that we can provide the animals a place to go where they don't feel like they're constantly on stage, so to speak. Now, sometimes the patrons get a little, I didn't see the animals time or it was down in the moat. Understand that we have to look out for the animals' welfare as much as we're trying to look out for the people to be engaged. So, yeah, animals have a choice to be able to be in sight line and sometimes out of sight line, and depending on the day, especially on those hot days, they're going to look for the shade.
This is something that I've been wondering for a while. Are we going to get any cicadas down here, Ron?
This is a little far south for them. It's a little warm right now. I have seen cicadas, but not these 13-year or 17-year ones that you're seeing up north right now. So we're not going to see that kind of onslaught, but they do occur here. Keep in mind there are several species of cicadas, and they do occur here, and I have seen them on occasion. It's not something very common, but I've seen them down here in South Florida.
First, we don't get the eclipse. Then we don't get the aurora borealis, and now we're not getting the goddamn cicadas.
We have 108-degree temperatures.
That's
for
all
you,
we
though,
get,
if you'd like. We have some of those.
Hey, Ron, in Australia, reportedly, a woman who looked just like my neighbor Shelley was swallowed whole by a 13-foot shark. Does that sound plausible? Because let's say she was 5 feet, 5.5 feet. Could a 13-foot shark swallow a woman whole?
And silently. Her friends didn't even notice she was gone,
she was swimming with a group of friends, and nobody knew that this shark swallowed this woman whole. Plausible or no?
It's feasible if she's 5 foot tall and fairly thin framed. Yeah, that's not. I mean, it's not gonna inhale it like you would inhale. The body's this. I don't know. I'm getting into this detail. The body's going to be bitten some, but it will gulp it down as it's biting. If you ever watch a shark eat, you'll see how they do that. They just like bite, gulp. Doesn't mean that he's going to. Oh God, this is awful to talk about. But
poor Shelley.
He's going to like dismember her or tear her apart in different places. But he's going to. Why is Stugotz laughing so badly? This is really a horrible thing I'm trying to describe here.
You have told us that a human being cannot live for very long inside of either a shark or a whale, that they would die almost immediately.
Yes, absolutely.
Even a whale?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, come on.
I've seen Pinocchio too many times.
Listen, guys, there are enzymes in your stomach, in human stomach, that if not protected by a certain lining, would just burn you up. That's when you get a bad ulcer. You get the bad, digestive problems is when you don't have the lining protecting you from those enzymes that basically digest food.
But it seems like there's a lot of space in there, Ron.
Yeah.
That's all. Right,
A
to
lot
get
of space.
comfortable.
You know what?
What
You
if I
watch
don't
too many
touch the
Pinocchio
enzymes?
movies,
Yeah.
Stugotz.
Right.
It's not Pinocchio, brother.
I feel like in a whale, I could stand on my hind legs
Yeah.
and not even be able to touch the ceiling.
Sit in a little
how
boat or
big it
something.
is.
Don't touch the enzymes. I'm all good.
Right.
How many Pinocchio movies are there?
The
There's
ceiling.
a couple of Pinocchio movies,
The
guys.
ceiling of a whale. Thank you for your expertise, Greg Cody.
problem.
Last week we were having the argument about whether a woodpecker damages its brain, face, head, beak when it pecks.
No, this is what's incredible about woodpeckers. If you were to look at them anatomically, their tongue actually goes all the way around their brain, their head. It's basically like a shock absorber. So they have this incredible shock absorber. Their tongue is so long. Every time they peck, that tongue comes out, goes all the way into the hole to get the insects. But in the meantime, it goes around their head and acts like a shock absorber. So it's an incredible anatomy that woodpeckers have that protects any kind of brain damage.
Ron, it is always good seeing you. Thank you for making the time. I will tell the listeners again, if you want a good cause, Ron McGill's really does help the animals. I'm here to vouch for it, and he is an honorable man, and only occasionally does he buy, with your charitable funds, clothing and Cadillacs. Thank you, Ron. Good seeing you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Real quick, because Pablo was on with us, and he said he wants his basketball games, his sporting events, to feel like the biggest thing in the world. John Tesh is going to join us later.
Oh,
John
man.
Tesh has given us the only exclusive rights to music that we have around here. His song, Does This Sound Like Your Sporting Event, is the biggest on the planet.
Wow.
He just gave it over to us. He owns that sound. He
Amazing.
gave it to us. And John Tesh is going to join us to make us happy with that music later.
John Tesh is going to join us in just a little bit. Dan is on a business call. I felt the need to explain where Dan is. He's on a call.
Seems unnecessary.
Well, he's not here. He's been here the entire show. He's not in prison with Scotty.
I think he just went somewhere with air conditioning.
He could be laying on the floor. He does that sometimes.
Bad time for the AC to go down. I gotta tell you.
Calor de pinga, a new term I learned today.
This is that weird kind of day where they're saying it's working, but it's not. Last week, it was at least confirmed not working. Today, it's like it's working, but it's just not doing cold air.
Who's saying that it's working?
Tony was walking around telling everyone in the other room that the reason it was hot is because all the vents were closed.
Okay.
It's still hot.
But who's saying it's working?
They.
Okay.
People.
They are wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's not working. It's not even close to working. Greg is sweating through his armpits right now.
It's ridiculous.
Let me see. Lift it. Let me get a little.
He is.
Kind of.
I am too, but you can't tell.
It
Right.
feels like it.
Yeah.
It's very like the air is just not moving. It's hot and it's not moving.
Right.
And we're just sitting in it.
So I offered Greg some things to talk about before we started here. One was the Panthers. They play the Rangers. Heavyweight fight. The other was Tua, the Dolphins. Billy and I think he's too nice to hold out.
Yeah, he's definitely too nice. He can't play the holdout game.
Mm-hmm.
So what he has to do, they're going to take advantage of him, I think.
But Billy, I feel like it's something you and I would do as passive. I feel like you and I are similar.
Oh,
in that
yeah,
we're
get
not very
taken advantage of.
I feel like if anyone, I see myself in Tua of just like I'll show up. Please give me a contract.
I come here, man.
He has an agent though, right? Like if he was doing it himself, maybe. But that's what the agent's for. They're like, stay strong, buddy.
We'll get back to Tua in a second. But the thing Greg told me he wanted to talk about was Chris being loud wrong on his podcast.
This is just so uninteresting that he thinks is interesting.
Oh, it's interesting to me. I can see why it wouldn't be interesting to you to talk about.
I'll give you your minute here. I was wrong. Calmly, my dad's horse that he owns ran over the weekend in Italy, and it was the number 3 horse. Stugotz, you've been to horse racing before.
Yeah.
Generally, don't the horses line up in order? If there's a 1 horse, a 2 horse, a 3 horse, they're lined up in order. See, this is already so uninteresting that I'm
4,
bored
5,
with it.
6, 7, 8.
Calmly was the 3 horse, so I was like, it's the 3rd horse in line. My dad's like, no, it's on the pole position. Trust me.
Now
And
tell us excitedly.
I mocked him. This is the part that he has to gloat about. I mocked him. I was like, you're an owner of this horse, and I know more about it than you do. It turns out I was wrong. In Italy, they do horses where the numbers don't matter. So the 3 horse was on the inside. I was wrong. And my dad thinks that that's good content to make fun of me.
It might not be good content, but it feels good to hear you say I was wrong.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted,
wrong.
Chris.
Incredible.
That's all he wanted. Up until now, you haven't admitted that you were wrong.
No, I gave it to him on his podcast after it happened. I was like, man, I was wrong about that.
But the gall of you to think that I don't know about my own horse.
The gall.
I get inside information.
He's an owner.
A week before the race about what the post position is and all
Back
this.
in my day, those numbers meant something on those horses.
How's Conley doing?
Comley finished second.
Bad result.
In Italy. Well,
she was the favorite.
She was the favorite, and she led late into the last furlong, and then she lost the lead. Ended up losing by 3/4 of a length. The rumor is we're going to auction her off at the end of this year.
That was my question: is what you do, because you own a piece of Conley here, but
Yeah, it could be.
Don't own a horse forever.
No. She's 4 now, no longer a 3-year-old, and I think she'll probably bring about $250,000 in auction.
How much did you invest? Do you mind saying in Conley?
Conley, I think
I called him Mike Conley, I think.
I think it was like.
Don't answer it, Greg. He put you on the spot.
Well, I'm
Don't
just
answer
wondering how much he stands to make
He's
when
gonna
they
have too
auction
many
the
people
horse
in your
off.
pockets. He's gonna have too many people outside of here.
Well, no, you're
You're
a minority owner, correct?
Yeah, I own 2.5%.
Okay, there you go.
Listen, Juju, Greg loves to walk around telling people he's a horse owner.
That's correct.
He
Owner.
does.
Yeah.
Yes, a owner.
So hold on a second. If this horse sells for $250,000, you're going to get like $6,000.
It could be something like that.
Okay.
It could be.
I'd rather just be a horse owner, I think.
Well, I'll buy into it. I'll buy into another one.
Is it going to be a loss?
Oh, you'll roll it into another?
Yeah, I think I will. I love owning a fractional share of.
But this has not been a profitable venture for you.
Well, if she's auctioned off and I get $6,000, which is about what I put into the horse.
Well, there you go. Now you said it.
It's probably still a net loss, but
the memories.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it
forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you own? You own multiple horses at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you go and scout out the horses, or you just kind of see like which one's available? Is it like a timeshare?
I don't do it personally. I'm with a syndicate called Team Valor.
Yeah, Team
International.
Valor, of course, everybody knows.
Yeah, and they do all the research. Comley was actually Queen Elizabeth's horse.
Yeah.
It's a great British horse. And so it has good, you like to think the Queen of England and her whole party would research a horse well. So it's been a good horse.
Did the passing of the Queen affect Comley?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because the king hates horses.
Really?
And so when the Queen died, the king almost immediately began divesting the royal family of its equine holdings.
Interesting.
What do you think of that painting of the king?
That was weird.
Weird painting, huh?
Oh, my God.
All red?
It was surreal.
There was a butterfly on it for some reason?
It looked like the king rising from the gates of hell or something.
Very spooky. I thought it might be an homage to Tampon Gate.
Really?
I didn't know what to think. Is it a joke? Is it real?
Is that what you thought?
That is what I thought.
Look, see, very interesting conversation, Chris, on the horses. Yeah. And I always remember, he brought you into this world and he'd take you out.
Exactly.
Talk what he want to talk about.
I know what Chris means though. Like when you're in you're in the position of someone who's already admitted that they're wrong, and everyone wants to just keep laughing and telling you that you're wrong. Like Lehman yesterday, who was looking for tools for his kayak, and I told him, "Did you check in this spot?" And he said, "Yes, I couldn't find them." And then he couldn't find it for hours, and then finally I got up, checked in the spot, and they were right there.
Of course.
And I was in the position of, well, he acknowledged that I was right. They were where I said they were.
You wanted more, though. Bad move
I wanted
by
more.
Lehman.
I wanted
That's when
more.
you accuse the person of putting it there.
Correct.
This is what you do, sis. You let that slide, like, oh, see, it's right here, no problem, babe. And now he owe your ass, you know what I mean? He know you didn't trip. Oh man, you racked them up.
In Greg's defense, Greg, anytime he says anything, gets shot down and has constantly been told that he's wrong. So it feels good to be right.
Damn right it does.
Yeah.
Particularly when the adversary in this case, my son, was so loud wrong. He like wouldn't even consider that I might know more about him. About my own racehorse than
you know
he
the
does.
game.
Well,
You're in the game.
I thought it was funny, the idea of you, the owner, being wrong about it. So I was trying to celebrate the idea that you had it wrong. But it's not as fun when I get that wrong because I'm not the owner.
All right, now look what we're celebrating.
Now we're just talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How come men can't find things though?
We can't.
I'm really bad at it. When you were saying that story, I was like, this is my household. I am always looking for something. I can't find it. My wife finds it, and then she's mad at me because it was easy to find.
No, but I hate that.
It's a true stereotype, right?
Like, I'll look around for something forever, and then she gets up like Jess did, and she finds it in 2 seconds. And it drives me crazy. Like, I swear I looked there.
I had to put my keys on my wall just because that had become a headache.
What does your wife get on you the most for? Is it For me, it's hair.
Oh,
it's the only thing she cares about.
Before I got my
maintenance.
haircut, oh my God.
Yeah.
If my hair is over my collar in the back,
right?
You know, the mullet jokes start, and it makes you look 10 years older.
Your haircut's great though, Greg.
Thank you.
You look good.
But she harps on me, mentions it daily, like a couple of times. When are you getting a haircut?
Well, because you're the kind of guy, not to talk like you're the kind of guy that goes way too long without it.
Yeah.
Like, you should probably get one every other month, and you go like 4 months
Every
without
other
it.
month.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Brought you into this world, it'll take you out. Just keep some.
Just speaking on my mom's, that's just what my mom would say.
He's
like,
defending
go
his
more.
mom, yeah.
Yeah.
Go more
Haircuts are
often.
once a year at that.
Well, a couple of times a year,
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
What's your excuse when she tells you to cut it and you come home and it's still growing?
I'm like, I'll get.
Had a
around
busy
to
day.
it.
I tell Abby I'm a creature of habit. I need to go to the same person at the same place every single time, and she's not often there. Her name is Marisol. She's fantastic at Supercuts in Parkland, and so that's my excuse. I'm like, Marisol wasn't in today.
My dad.
She's like, does she ever work?
My dad wanted me to go with him to get his haircut.
That would be nice.
That's
yeah.
nice, right?
Because you know the whole number thing.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult.
Well,
More
apparently
time to
he
bond
doesn't know
with
the
your
whole
father.
number thing. is
Juju,
what we
tell him
learned.
again, please, so
More
we can hear
time
it.
to bond with your father. He
Yeah.
doesn't
See?
understand the
Right.
number
No.
thing.
He
Just
brought
help
you
him
in. He
out.
can
There you
take you
go.
out.
Take you right on out of here.
Right.
I'm going to adopt Juju.
should
I'm
do
gonna,
that.
I'm gonna have a new favorite
The
son.
son
Let's
you
get
always
it.
wanted.
That's right.
Greg, you know what you should try? Tom Brady did this. It's not really in fashion right now. It's not in vogue, as they say. But when your hair gets longer, you should try like the man bun in the back. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were talking
Like,
about Botox.
Pull up the No, Greg doesn't need Botox, but maybe you pull up the hair a little bit, put a man bun back there.
I can
or
honestly-
ponytail.
And trust me, I got like 100 fur headbands that you can. It fit one of them.
Oh,
There
know
you
what?
go.
I would try one of those on.
There you
sir,
go.
I got
I would
you.
try that. Yeah.
Got you.
I was also considering like a George Washington powdered wig or something.
yeah.
All right.
Bringing back the
Yes.
1770s,
Yes, sir.
that kind of
Right.
thing.
You know what you?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know about that.
I think they still wear those, like if you're a barrister.
In England, I think
Yeah.
they do.
Team Valor, do they wear those or no?
No.
Oh,
Why would you bring one of those back?
I don't know. Whenever I look at George Washington, I'm like, that's weird, but yet oddly cool. That
Oh
haircut.
man,
that
I went to
whole
a
style.
museum in New York once that had a lock of his hair and one of his teeth in it.
wow.
my God.
The
Very
wooden or
creepy.
the real?
The fake, yeah, the fake ones.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
it was weird.
What a hilarious tradition for the English to hold on to for so long.
It
Just
is.
a powdered face and wig. Salute to Man United.
Totally bizarre.
Well said. Greg, if your hair gets long enough, you could just dye it white, and then it'll be a natural powdered wig.
I don't
Yeah,
know
but then
about
your wife
that.
gets upset, and
Yeah,
it's a whole thing.
Yeah. She'd rather have me in a powdered wig than long mullet type hair.
Who's
I'll
on the
tell you
Greg
that.
Cody show this week?
Actually, we have our friend Roy Bellamy is on, along with Princess Claire, talking about the Panthers Rangers series.
Nice.
And we actually listened to Calmly Run in Italy live on the podcast, which was sort of interesting.
You know
It was-
those powdered wigs are made of horse hair?
I did not.
Maybe
Huh.
Calmly will.
Really?
Yeah.
Full circle.
Wow.
Yeah, cut his hair.
Well,
Her.
Hers. Sorry.
she's got
Mine?
like most horses,
Fine.
she's got a pretty slick coat.
Yeah.
Greg coat.
Yeah, thank you.
Coty.
Beautiful horse.
Do you agree horse racing is dead, or?
No.
I think Calmly could walk in here right now and you wouldn't be able to recognize it.
Are you insane? Come on. I'll saddle her up and ride out of here. Like Tom Mix.
Baby.
Yeah, exactly. Baby.
What?
I don't know. He said it, not me.
You repeated it.
Yeah, that's true. Whenever anybody says baby, I got to say it back. It's the polite thing to do.
So what we decided here is too nice to hold out.
Yeah, I think that was consensus.
I'm not sure if his lawyer is though, but he might be.
I don't think he listens to his lawyer.
He'll get his money. Believe me. There's all these rumors. Is he going to demand a trade? No. The Dolphins are going to pay the man. He'll get $50 million plus. They'll add enough bonus incentives for him to possibly be the highest paid quarterback if he stays healthy.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
This man is a true renaissance man of journalism, of music, a 6-time Emmy Award winner, 2-time Grammy nominee. And this video I'm going to play for him and for the audience, I believe is as confident as an American male can be under any circumstances. This is John Tesh knowing that he's got a hit song on his hands and also a crowd in the palm of his hand. Watch this. Yes, there it is. There it is. Yes, he knows it. Look at him. His soul is soaring, and we soar with him.
His masterpiece.
Yes. Well, yes. This is allegedly, according to Stugotz, the greatest sports anthem ever made.
Wow.
Right up there with "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and he gave it to us the last time he was on.
One silent moment.
Yes. No, not one silent moment. It's this and "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
It's one shining moment.
Yes, I don't know what one silent moment is.
You didn't find me, though.
I can't keep up with your mistakes. John, thank you for being on with us. One silent moment is what he described.
Would be an odd name for a song.
It really would be strange.
Silent Nights.
Perhaps. John, thank you for joining us. Certainly this fills you with the greatest of happiness, right? It fills you, that song makes you as happy as it makes us, correct?
Well, first of all, thank you. Yeah, yes, it does. And you know what? The funniest thing about this song is that when I found out that I was working for, I was doing the Tour de France bike race as an announcer back in 1990. And when I found out that through the sports grapevine, the NBC wanted, or they were looking, they had just taken the coverage away from maybe with CBS, and they were looking for a new theme. And so I thought, wow, what would that sound like? And you know the story about the whole answering machine thing. But when it was on the air, it was just another sports theme. And so it really didn't become anything until people started learning it on YouTube, you know, and then people sort of longing back for the nostalgia of the, Marv Alberts, Michael Jordan, Celtics versus the Lakers rivalry. And so that's when it really became something else, which was a big surprise for me.
Well, you have told us the answering machine story, but for those who might not be familiar with it, because it's a legendary story, and I don't know if you have anything that sticks to you the way this song sticks to you, because I imagine all over sports fans are trying to talk to you about this.
Well, and what happened was, I was actually, when I was hired at CBS to do the anthology sports, it's like the downhill skiing and figure skating and gymnastics and all that. I was working on the Tour de France bike race, and I'd heard through the grapevine that they were looking for a theme. And so in the middle of, I was in Megève, France, and we were getting ready to do the next stage of the tour. And I was thinking, what would it, nobody knew me as a musician. I thought, what would it sound like? And so I woke up at 2:00, and when I tell this story on stage, people always laugh because they've done it. I woke up at 2:00 in the morning with a theme in my head, and I thought I didn't have a keyboard, I didn't have a recording device, no iPhone, and so I thought the only way for me, if I go to sleep, that it's going to be gone. So I called my answering machine back in the States, back in New York, and I left a message for myself. And when I tell that story on stage, people they're laughing. I think, why are people laughing? It's because everybody's done that. It's usually like, Brett, you to bring home some milk. So it was two messages, and the first one was my voice picks up, and it's like, hey, there's John. There's nobody home right now. Please leave a message. The sound of the tone, So I leave. And he cut me off, and I call back, which is about like $150 for a phone call from Megève, France, and like 35 numbers. And I call back and say, here's the rest of it. I started to, and I got home 2 weeks later, and I checked my messages on my answering machine, and I had two. Both for me. Damn. They were this, and so I took the answering machine and put it on my piano, and I said, let me figure it out, And so I said, well, this might be something. And so I got the band together, and I thought, I know how these guys at sports think, and I'd known Ebersol because he was, he was a friend of mine. And so what I did was I figured out what the fast break was. And it was, so disco is, is 120 beats a minute, but a fast break is like 132, almost like a rap tune or EDM. And so I set the tempo at that. And then to sort of eliminate what they would have to do in their brains, I didn't send a cassette. I went into a studio. There was no laptop editing back then. I went to a studio and I got a bunch of highlights from the NBA. I edited it to the music, and so I sent in a VHS tape, not a cassette tape. And so when they looked at that, they were like, "Well, it was a simple phone call. Hey, John, this is Dick Ebersol. This is your song. What's it called?" And I was like, "Roundball Rock." I sort of made up something, and he said, "Well, this will work. Let us play it for 30 years and put 2 of your kids through college." And it was pretty much that simple, but it was just, I was writing themes. And so for me, it was just another theme. I thought, well, it sounds right. And then once they debuted it, I think it was a San Antonio Spurs game, I was on the road again, and I knew that it was going to be debuted. And so I went into a bar, in the middle of the afternoon, and I'm sitting there with everybody, and they're watching the game. And all of a sudden the theme comes on, ba, 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 da, ba, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, anybody, and nobody, and so the bartender's there, and I go, hey, you hear that music? And he's like, yeah, I hear it. I wrote that music. He goes, oh, great. Do you want another beer? So
nobody cared. How often?
I was very impressed with myself, but nobody else in the bar.
How often? Well, you should be, because it rocks. But how often have you been moved to that kind of inspiration to leave yourself a message on an answering machine? Has that happened often?
Yeah, that's a great question. Pretty much every week after that, after it debuted, I did it. So I have, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 tapes of me just going, nothing ever happened. So I figured, and I've kept the answering machine. I have the machine, and I have the tape.
Brother, you have a wonderful, phenomenal voice. Have you ever thought about voice acting or reading like ASMR books? Like, it's incredible, brother.
He's got a great broadcast.
I appreciate it. Yeah, ASMR would be great. It would just be like,
Yeah.
It's amazing that's become popular now.
Amazing.
John, did I hear you correctly? The title "Roundball Rock" was almost off the top of your head. What would have been the alternative title had you not come up with that?
It would be like, theme number 32 or something. I mean, it's an instrumental song, so I had no. Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, I think I'd written it down like that, but early on, people were making fun of like Roundball Rock. What the heck is that? And so, my greatest accomplishment musically in my life is that Roundball Rock actually has its own Wikipedia page. I discovered this.
Wow,
so cool. Like, that's it. That's all I need.
But you've got an accomplished music career. This you wouldn't regard this as your greatest musical achievement, or would you?
No, I mean, probably Live at Red Rocks, which was the PBS special that I mean, it's a long story, but I was working at Entertainment Tonight in 1993, and I kept sending out tapes of my music, which I'd done for sporting events for years. I mean, golf themes and NFL and all the rest of that stuff. And and musicians love this because working for the network, right? I always knew when they needed a theme, and so I would just give it away. I would say, "Hey," and then you can just sort of live on the BMI royalties. And so I was writing themes all the time, but not until that Red Rocks thing where PBS took a chance on us, and we took a chance, putting it together. Did things change for me? We went from selling, 50 records a month to 35,000, and that's when I left Entertainment Tonight.
Did it birth your music career? Did that moment birth your change of path, where you didn't want to be a television person anymore? Because Entertainment Tonight, for those who do not know, it was as big a show as we had in the United States, right? It was one of the bigger name brands in television.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day about it because, when I walk into a Starbucks now, people are like, "Hey, didn't you used to be John Tesh?" I'm like, "Yes." And there'll be some old guy in the back who'll go, "Hey, he was on Entertainment," and then they're like, "What was that?" And so I basically tell them a story about, in 1986 when I was on there with Mary Hart. I mean, 23 million people a night watched that. There's really no cable or anything. And the only time that you could, I was having this conversation with my daughter. The only time you could see a movie trailer was either in the movies or on ET. And so it was that popular. The problem with it is that when I was, going after all these labels trying to get signed, I think the guy, I think it was Clive Davis said, I don't know that we're interested in having the guy who reads his celebrity birthdays on the same label as Kenny G. You know,
That's funny. So you weren't serious enough. What you were doing was too much cotton candy for the music industry. Oh
I wish
wow.
I'd said that.
Wow,
yeah, that's good.
But you're laughing all the way to the bank. So screw them.
Right? And artistically, you got to do something evidently that's a lot more meaningful to you creatively.
Yeah, the great thing about ET was that they recognized that I sort of had one foot out, and and Mary Hart and all the producers there, every time I did a concert, they would promote it and stuff. So it was really, I just couldn't do both at the same time. I wrote a book called Relentless, which is, back in 2015, I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer and given 18 months to live, not to cast a gloom on the interview, but that was a horrible time for me. And it was, I think, going through the chemo and all the rest of it, being able to still sit down and play piano was real medicine for me. And also, there was a pile of prayer in there and medicine as well. But it was, I grew up as a musician. I grew up, playing my scales on Long Island, not far from Billy Joel. Everybody was in a garage band. I was born in 52, and everybody was in a garage band on Long Island. And Billy Joel was in a band called the Hassles. And I was in a band called the Best of Both Worlds, which had two bands that broken up and became one. And it was a Blood, Sweat, and Tears cover band. And so Billy's band was very popular. And so we were in a rivalry. It really wasn't much of a rivalry because if Billy didn't want the gig, then we got it. So Billy was like, and the Hassles was like the Hassles, and we were like RC Cola. That's really, my whole life was music, basically.
Well, according to Sports Business Journal, NBC has now offered $2.5 billion a year to get back the rights to the NBA to create a basketball night in America. Bill Simmons is saying, quote, "It's a wrap," and Charles Barkley says he's going to be on LinkedIn tomorrow. Has NBC reached out to you about reviving Roundball Rock?
They have, actually, yeah.
Yes.
They it's nothing, firm. But they said, "Hey, can you stay frosty on this?" It's like a Navy SEALs thing, because we'd love to talk to you about it. And we're actually talking right now about licensing it to them for the Olympics in Paris, which is always great. Yeah, I love. So we're actually going in at the end of June. We're heading to Nashville, and we got a full orchestra on hold. We're going to re-record it. Because it's the recording I think it still sounds great, but I wanted to make a few changes, maybe open up the middle, maybe we'll send it to you guys. You could turn it into an EDM track, that kind of stuff.
You gonna upcharge NBC, or what do you think?
It's just a licensing fee, so I figure if they're spending, what is it? What did you say? 2.5 billion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I'll take $1 billion a year.
There you go.
Are you going to update the song? Is there a version of the song that has lyrics?
Oh, if you need a verse, let me know.
Yeah. Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
The Saturday Night Live clip. Do you guys have this? So you're telling me that this is a real story? What I thought was a spoof, you're telling me is a real story? Let's play that clip for John Tesh.
All right, fire away. All right, ready to do this?
Yes, I am.
All right, 2, 3, 4.
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it!
That can't be the lyric. That's not the lyrics. That's not that's not.
No, that's the lyrics. That's the lyrics. So my wife and I were on like a weekend vacation. We ran into Vince Vaughn. He was with his son. He was in the buffet line at this place called Paradise.
No, he's telling us a story.
She's great. My wife Connie Selleck is great. She comes running up to him, and he's my size. I mean, he's 6'6" easily, and she goes, "Hey, this is my husband John. Do you remember the thing you did on him and with the Roundball Rock basketball theme?" And he remembered the whole thing. It was great. I thought we were like stalking him, but
this is a true story. Those were the lyrics, John.
No, they made up. Saturday Night Live made up those lyrics.
Okay, so there were no lyrics, right?
No, and I don't have a brother named Dave.
So there are no lyrics. There's no one who's asked you to put lyrics on the song. It's perfect the way that it is. It doesn't need any changes.
A lot like this sounds like you're auditioning for a co-writing thing. I'm in if you want to put lyrics in it.
Say less.
Juju.
Done.
I'm in.
Deal.
Juju.
I'm gonna send a verse over to you. COB tomorrow.
Open up that middle.
All right.
But the words are already basketball.
Let's play for John the difference between these two songs. I'd like for him to explain to me the difference between the only version of the song that I've known that starts like this. Flawless, perfect, reminds me of a time, makes basketball more epic, but the other version that's longer has this in it. Even bigger. Perfect. Even bigger. Yeah. So explain to me the difference between what's happening there and why have I not heard that second one more?
I actually couldn't hear it. I just saw dancing.
Okay.
But, I don't know.
Imagine what you were thinking, but a lot grander.
Yeah. If he can't hear it, that makes it hard. Chris Cody, you want to try it again for the man so that he can... It's got some Star Wars to it. It feels a bit intergalactic.
Did you hear that one?
You're talking about the intros, a longer intro?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they wanted to get to the song faster in the second one. But based on what I've seen on video right now, I think the second one's probably better because I saw more dancing.
That's good. Good enough. John,
we crushed that.
John, thank you. You especially. John, thank you for being on with us. We always appreciate the time, and we will always appreciate the song. I can't believe we're breaking news here. There's going to be a new version of this. NBC is going to fix all the bad will it creates by ending Charles Barkley's studio show, but replacing it with the glorious remake of this. Yeah. I think it'll be enough to soothe sports fans.
Stay firm at $1 billion, John, okay?
Yes.
John, we're playing your song in case you can't hear it.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Basketball.
Dunk it. Stugotz, I recently went through publicly a dark period on everything that was happening with weather events that are super unusual. And one of the things that I said is that we're not that far off from the difficulties that come with planes having trouble getting from place to place without harming people. And this is just in from Boeing. Boeing has offered condolences after a passenger was killed on a Boeing 777 plane. They say their thoughts are with the passengers and the crew. 30 people were injured, and a 73-year-old British man was killed because a plane fell in the air 6,000 feet. Jesus. And so the plane didn't crash. Boeing is having a whole lot of trouble. Jessica has been covering. She's been following Boeing all over the place because this is terrifying. John Oliver did something about a month ago that was investigative in nature, talking about how safety has gone to hell with Boeing trying to save money and turning it into a maximized profit business. And the result is some things are happening in the sky that if they happened near any of us would be largely horrifying in a way you wouldn't be able to forget. And I don't know how far we are from the day when people are going to be landlocked because of the combination of fossil fuels being needed and fossil fuels making the earth a place where, I don't know if you guys felt this physically, but South Florida was dangerous the last couple of days because it got up to 108 degrees in the middle of May, which is not something that it's ever been close to. It feels like 108 degrees, not an actual 108 degrees, but as Chris Cody says, if it feels like 108 degrees, it is 108 degrees.
It's like scary how hot it is. It's like way over the average temperatures. Greg told me this morning it's the hottest May we've ever had in South Florida. And also the other scary thing is that it's probably the coolest we'll ever have for the rest of our lives. So that's great. Not sure I was going to make a bad analogy how to land the plane on this conversation, but yeah, it's pretty scary. It's hot as down here, and we have no air conditioning currently.
Yep.
You have been fanning yourself. I thought it was just John Tesh. I thought it was the music that made
the hair,
just all of
the
it.
Voice,
just
all of it.
The confidence on stage when he has that song at his fingertips, but it has been boiling in here today.
It is so hot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that, Jessica.
If you want to cool down, go outside.
Okay.
Stugotz, I'm gonna go ahead and heat up Stugotz here. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because we haven't had much of this around here. I'm gonna hit him with the combination of Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson have added a lot of muscle this offseason.
I love that. I love muscle.
Combined with Justin Jefferson was seen this weekend at Florham Park, the Jets facility.
Near the Jets facility.
What do you mean?
Right near there. Justin Jefferson is being
That's
reported.
a big difference, between being there and being near the facility, right?
What else is there?
Not the point, really.
Nothing.
They got a Denny's or something?
Yeah.
The point is that the Vikings have as good a receiver as anyone has ever seen. He has paid a lot of money, and there's not a lot of reason for him to stay in Minnesota because Minnesota hasn't exactly
He thinks New Jersey is better?
solved its quarterback problem.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson can make anyone look good except for Sam Darnold. Justin Jefferson did a lot for Kirk Cousins the last couple of years. Justin Jefferson, his stride, Stugotz, only Randy Moss is something I have seen that covers that much ground. 5 yards at a stride, it feels like, because he's faster than anybody.
Right.
He would make – I don't know what the situation is in Minnesota, but if I just told you guys, based on the
I think he's holding out
couple
right
of
now.
years
Yes.
of the Vikings, do you think Justin Jefferson's going to be there long term? Because they're not a piece away unless that piece is a quarterback. And if I were him – I would be interested in being someplace that can pay me the maximum and showcase my talents better than Minnesota will be able to next year.
They did take J.J. McCarthy. I'm not saying he's going to be good, but if he turns out to be good, that's having the quarterback on a rookie contract, which I think would mean they could pay Justin Jefferson.
I think if a player of that caliber wants out and can talk his way out of Minnesota, he obviously can go anywhere. And I find it hard to believe he would go to a team with a really old quarterback who might have one more good season.
I was just interested in titillating Stugotz there. I'm more interested in asking the audience, hey, is Justin Jefferson available? Do you see a circumstance under which that receiver, we've got a lot of people thought this was one of the greatest receiver classes ever. You have seen a pay shift in the sport at the position because they're getting these basketball guys who cannot be guarded. The CeeDee Lambs and DK Metcalfs of the world cannot be guarded by human beings. Justin Jefferson is better than any of them.
Jamar Chase, yes. He's
better
than all the wide receivers.
He's better
yes.
than any of them.
Maybe Tyreek Hill.
And the place for him is not Minnesota. Like whatever he turned Kirk Cousins into over the last couple of years that make Kirk Cousins this kind of valuable to Atlanta, I'd argue he could do for a lot of quarterbacks. He's a cheat code. Why would he want to play anymore in Minnesota? You tell me if he's got to wait around for J.J. McCarthy to get good, if he's got to wait
maybe he thinks he can make J.J. McCarthy get, a lot better faster.
Well, then why would he be randomly in New Jersey? That's the question.
That's weird. But for Aaron Rodgers, I mean, coming off an Achilles.
Yeah, he becomes an unrestricted free agent next year.
Yes.
He's signed through this season. So
if you're the Vikings and you don't think he's going to re-sign in Minnesota, you probably do something you do it right now.
Oh, but I would just say that what the Vikings have already done suggests to me that while he is a young piece that I would want to build around, the Vikings are not close. In what world are the Vikings close, Stugotz?
They're not. No, it's totally fair. I'm not certain how close the Jets are. I mean,
but the Jets are at least win now. The Vikings are not.
You have the Jets winning 14 games this year.
I did. Yeah, I went through the schedule. I actually upgraded it to 15.
Really?
15-2. Yeah.
Wow.
That's funny.
You mentioned Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson putting on weight. Lamar Jackson has cut 10 pounds.
Same with Tua.
What do you make of that, Dano?
Yeah, Tua bulked up too much. Now he's back down.
Put Jefferson on Baltimore. My God.
Lamar Jackson is down to 205. He's going to play at 205. I have proclaimed Bryce Young done, but they say he looks fantastic in the new system.
You walking it back?
Well, he looks physically different. He does look.
Sounds like you're walking it back.
He does look physically different.
You have 25 seconds to walk it back. Otherwise, you have to live with it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, 25 seconds.
How far do I
down
need
to
to walk
20.
it back?
Yeah.
Don't do it, Dan.
All the way back.
15 seconds.
From what? From done to
Wherever
what?
you
Hall of
were.
Famer.
Yeah, done to, yeah.
You're being
15
awfully
seconds.
aggressive
10
for
seconds
someone
for the
who
rest of your
just
life.
said the Jets didn't have any
7
hope after
seconds.
picking them
10
to win
seconds.
5
15
seconds.
games this season.
4, 3.
I stand by it!
Oh!
Stugotz, a lot of companies are noticing that there is a lane to make some food affordable to people because it really is hard, Stugotz, for the average 20-year-old who is trying to make life work with finances, and inflation keeps going up higher, but the salary that you get coming out of college to work 40 hours is having a hard time keeping up with it. And so businesses have noticed that they can take advantage of something, and now Wendy's is offering, for the first time, 50 chicken nuggets for $15.
$15?
What? 50?
50.
Wait, hold on. 50 for 15.
That is correct.
Wow.
You are hearing me correctly. It's a bucket of chicken that I'm sure is treated horribly before it gets into that bucket.
What are we doing?
Yeah, what are you
What
doing?
is that supposed to mean? I'm sure they place it in there very delicately.
Right. Focus on the taste.
Exactly right, and the price. Price is right, Jack.
You have them just throwing the nugget into the bucket really hard.
How do you think it gets there?
Fastball.
Or do you have them mistreating the chicken itself?
It was very unclear, but I don't think we need clarity.
The supersized nugget pack is available in spicy or regular flavors at select Wendy's locations nationwide.
Select. I don't like select.
Me
It should be
neither.
all Wendy's locations.
Just mine is fine.
I don't want to play a guessing game. I just want to go to Wendy's and get 50 nuggets. You know?
I used the Wendy's app yesterday. Incredible. I cashed in some points. I got a free chicken sandwich. That's $7 sandwich. Free. Just for cashing in some coins or whatever they're called in their app.
For this deal, I'm imagining the way guys will sometimes get waters at like stadiums. Like I went and bought this 50-pack of waters for $3. Now I can go sell them $1 each and make a killing. I want to do that with nuggets. I'll buy like 4 of those bad boys.
You're
for
gonna sell
what?
individual
You're
nuggets.
sell a nugget each.
I could
Secondary
get
nugget
200
market?
nuggets for $60.
Where are you going to do this? I mean,
Outside of Marlins Park. Nuggets here. Get your hot nuggets.
How much do you sell a nugget for?
I mean, $1 per would probably be a little expensive. I'll give you 5 for $4.
You have every single person attending the Marlins game buying a nugget from you.
On the way out, a little snack for the
You're
way home.
scalping nuggets.
There's some Wendy's like right across the street
All
from there
7
too.
of them.
I know. Bad idea. Pick a stadium where people actually go to a game.
Oh, good
Whoa.
one, Dad.
is it worth it for the $80 though, Chris?
I know. I'm doing the math on that. If I charge $4,
I did it.
Can't
I
go
like
hard
the
rock.
idea. I like the idea of Chris getting home, like to Christy, and he's like, "I tried. I guess I just have to eat them now. Can't let them go to waste."
room temp nuggies.
He's like, I made $15. She's like, that's how much you spent on the.
If you're going to fail at business, the way to do it is to be able to eat the leftovers. I missed a great joke earlier because you asked me what my home court was when we were talking about the food chain, and I should have said the food court. I missed the ability to do that earlier in the show. But 50 chicken nuggets, we're in agreement. 50 chicken nuggets for $15. Billy's shock, you may have thought it insincere. His shock was sincere. He was delighted to hear that there is affordable fast food eating out there. I have not, I don't eat very much fast food, appearances to the contrary, but the last time I did, the Wendy's value meals were the greatest of the bargains. These 99-cent things.
Well, those are gone, but they do have like a biggie bundle, I think they're called, or something like that. Yeah. You get a double stack, plain with cheese, $6, plus you get 4 chicken nuggets and a drink and fries. Yes, please.
Most of the good deals have gone away at fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
Like at Taco Bell, you used to be able to get like one of those big burritos for like
crate.
89 cents, and now I saw it's like $5.26.
They
You
have
get
the
a
dollar
crate
menu
of
at McDonald's
tacos.
though.
They,
It's
even
very
those
good.
are like $1.30 now. Like
Well,
I'm
with
telling
tax,
you,
yes.
they've jacked up all those prices.
The best deal is when we get Pollo Tropical here and you can just take home a bucket of beans.
Oh,
I'm gonna have beans for a year.
There is a bucket of beans and a bucket of
just
corn.
a fucking bucket of beans.
Actual buckets.
how do you order pollo and not get the garlic cilantro sauce? I know. What an oversight out there. I mean, geez, someone should lose their job over
Why
that.
are you whispering?
Whoa.
So great.
My father called both me and my mother in a panic the other day because there was some sort of black bean shortage at Pollo Tropical.
It was our fault.
Like,
Our-
no, there was a legitimate
gave
shortage.
Giving them
many
out in
to
buckets.
our
Look
now.
at the bucket out there.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh man,
My father
I
loves those.
have a question for the child havers in the room.
Go
I
on.
saw this video
Parents,
of
some
a
say.
baby. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Thank you. A video of a baby that was going viral, and I was immediately taken by this baby, and I want to know if the parents' reactions to this baby are similar to my reactions of this baby.
Who wants to go to the Four Seasons Orlando?
I would be delighted.
This baby, what was that? This baby is like so sentient. Yeah. Are all babies like that?
Like what?
A baby just raising its hand.
The baby understood the question and raised his hand and said, "Me."
Jess, I have something I got to break to you. Babies can understand humans.
No, I have something to break to you. You could ask that baby who wants to eat a piece of poop, and then me. Yeah, babies are stupid.
You can see the dad triggering with as soon as the dad tickled the belly. It's like, this is your time to say me. This is your time.
Babies are dumb.
Yeah,
that's true.
Mm-hmm. What did your dad want you to do about the bean shortage? I mean,
seriously,
he wasn't.
Why did he call you?
He just wanted an ear. It wasn't that he wanted a solve to the problem. Yes, he didn't understand what was happening, and he wanted confirmation of
Was
it.
he emotional?
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. My father doesn't have human emotions. At LeBatard Show, are babies dumb?
I mean, geez, banger a couple of weeks for my dad here. Defends Greg Doyle. Now this.
Calls babies dumb?
Did you see, Dad, that Fox
infants
News
I
picked up and wrote about it? They even were distancing themselves from you. They're like, this guy, I give him credit. He had a take.
It's water off the bridge or whatever that
off a
expression
duck's
is.
back.
What
exactly.
do you care?
Right.
At this point of
Water
your
over
life
the
and career.
bridge.
Water under the bridge, over the bridge, wherever it is, it's water. It's water to me. But I don't mean to insult babies, but as a child haver, isn't that what you refer to? Child haver. When they're infants, they depend on you 100%. They don't know how to wipe their own ass. I don't mean they're stupid, dumb. I mean they're just
unintelligent.
Their brains.
They need help.
Yeah, exactly.
This baby was so impressive to me, and it truly has wowed and taken over the internet by understanding what the Four Seasons Orlando resort is. And raising his hand and saying me. And now I'm being told that it's all staged. This baby doesn't know what the hell
I'm pretty sure, that
is.
Scarlett Johansson baby.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe that earlier in the show, Ron McGill said anthropomorphic as a trait that people give animals that is human. I believe we just gave that baby a human trait that was more evolved than that baby is capable of. I believe
it is a human baby.
I know, but you were tricked into thinking that baby knows what a Four Seasons is, and that baby does not know what a Four Seasons is.
That fucking baby knows what a Four Seasons is.
No, that baby is being tickled and directed by the puppet master, that shirtless guy right there, that kid haver. And
watch Daddy here. We're not going to play the sound, but I just want to see it. Watch Daddy trigger the baby with a little tickling.
Triggered the baby with a tickle.
Hey, Dad,
clearly.
Button your shirt, will you?
Yeah.
It's a good point, Greg.
Before it.
I mean, what's with that guy?
Right.
What is that at the end?
with that
Do we
guy.
not have clean video of things that doesn't have adjacent sounds
The
to
internet
it?
is taking this video and they're.
I would be delighted, Mother, to accompany you on this exhilarating excursion to the Four Seasons Orlando. I will be sure to pack the required necessities for our trip. My excitement is palpable.
Why is this in
It's
the
the baby
video?
thinking.
Wow.
That's the baby.
That is a smart baby. I take back.
Yeah.